And I heard, as it were, the noise of thunder. One of the four beasts saying, "Come and see." And I saw, and behold, a white horse.
And God has now spared my life. It must have been God, thank you. Not once, but twice. And there are those that say he did it because Trump is going to turn this state around. He's going to turn this country around. He's going to make America great again. And
maybe. So God made Trump. I need somebody with arms, strong enough to rustle the deep state, and yet gentle enough to deliver his own grandchild. Somebody to ruffle the feathers, tame cantankerous World Economic Forum.
Father, we thank you for this awesome privilege, Father, to be in your presence. God, thank you that you've allowed us to see this day. The Bible says that your mercies are new every morning. And Father God, we give you the glory and the honor. Thank you, God, for President Trump, Father, for appointing us. Father God, thank you for anointing us.
Hello, conspiracy players. Welcome to another episode. And this one is long overdue. And I have Brandon Kroll to help me with this because he has a whole presentation. And a lot of the stuff we have covered on this show before, but we're going to go into Donald Trump today and everything surrounding Trump. And I have some idea of what we're going to talk about. I also know that Brandon's probably got a lot of stuff I haven't seen yet. So without further ado, I will welcome Brandon.
Yeah, Colby, thanks.
We are doing a swap cast, I understand, right?
Yes. I've been telling folks about this one for a while, so it's going to lead up to Trump, but I'm just throwing out from again a biblical perspective. When they're talking about like a one world religion, how it's already here, outlining how it's all being projected towards the shining figure of Trump, and showing where they're going to be going with this golden age that they are all talking about. And I'm going to show against some clips, compare, contrast, and let people come to their own conclusion.
Well, and before we really get into the nitty gritty, it's to me more interesting than anything to watch Trump's life and kind of just some of the weirdness surrounding his family. You have people talking about the uncle getting the Nikola Tesla patents and stuff. And, you know, people started talking about it last, I don't know, probably 5-6 years ago, but maybe even longer, but the Baron Trump appearing in that is it a Russian book, I think?
Yeah, I got that in today's thing. And
okay, so we don't even need to tease on that then. But
yeah.
with Donald Trump, because you said golden age, and if you look at Donald Trump, he literally is like a golden calf.
Yes.
And I'm sure, you're going to go biblical with this, so I'm sure that might come up too. But just to watch the fervor that surrounded this guy and the way that the media propelled him into the spotlight and then pretended to back out at the last minute. But it appears to me that they wanted him in there the first time. And the backlash this time hasn't been as strong. I was expecting more because, I told you earlier, I do live in Oregon. And Portland in 2016 was just off the chain. We had all the blue-haired screaming in the street. And I didn't see a lot of that this time. It was almost like they kind of just threw in the towel the night Kamala got her ass whooped.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think that overall there's a bigger hand at play with getting him in there to begin with, kind of building him up throughout the years?
I think, honestly, what I've been seeing is creating a persecuted Messiah complex. And again, when it's just like I always said, it's like we are Negan. It starts becoming a little bit of an identity politics, quite literally, as, oh, he's suffering for all of us. And I saw one depiction, it was a cartoon, says, I'm getting indicted for you while he's on a cross. And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of what they're doing, is anything I suffer, you're suffering too, because I love the country and you love the country, right? So therefore, if I'm suffering for the country, and this is very unbiblical, There's a whole verse in Philippians that our citizenship is not in the things of this in kingdoms of this world. It's in heaven. So we should not be giving a crap about politics or trying to change everything or mixing country, which is again, it touches into what I'm going to be outlining today. Because we have a lot of skewed theology that needs to really be hammered out because a lot of people, especially evangelicals, they're falling the greatest for this. They're like, well, what about the baby killer? Melania's new biography is pro-abortion. Like she talks about how she's very pro for it, and the same thing with Trump. He had several with all the women that he slept
I
around
mean,
with.
he would have had to have, or else he'd have like an Elon Musk body count as far as like kids that took.
Right,
And I don't
right.
know, maybe Elon's got a bunch under his belt too, but he definitely is pushing the repopulate agenda, which out of everything that he says, it's the one thing I agree with him on is that there's a big problem with people not reproducing. That's neither here nor there. But yeah, the pro-choice stance that Trump is, and it's not just the pro-choice thing. I mean, the guy grew up just a very privileged liberal. I mean, he
Yes.
always said, even when he went on Oprah in the 80s, he said if he did run, he didn't want to, but if he did, he would do it as a Republican. And it's very Reagan-esque, the way that kind of unfolded. Anyway, I figured just let you take it away. I don't know where you're
Okay.
going to start, but just dazzle me.
All right. I will attempt to do my best. Um,
That's all we can do here.
yeah. I've been teasing this one for a while. I'm probably going to try to do a tour, but as I said, with each host, it's a little bit different at the interactions and whatnot. So, again, feel free to interject at any point. But are you familiar with the Star of Remphan?
So it's the one you're showing now with the,
Correct.
what's the medical symbol that's there in the middle?
Caduceus staff.
Yeah, I don't know if I've seen that one in particular. No.
You might have seen it on Israel's flag in between the
Okay,
two.
so just the yes, I know it as
Yes.
the Star of David, but
Yes, yes. It's
and
been it's been inverted from its reputation, taking a good man's name and putting a bad symbol with it, in
okay.
essence. But what it actually represents, I'm going to be breaking that down because a lot of times people are doing things and they know not what they do. Our, from a Christian's perspective, God's not a God of symbols. He's not a God of countries. He is a God of his word, and he is not part of anything of this world. So that's part of why I'm saying, are you ready to Remfan? Because accepting the alternative, aka Mr. Trump and company, you're going to be asking for the horrible tribulations that are found in the book of Revelation, and I will be providing proof for that case. So, giving proof, not just, shooting off from the hip here, traditions of men is a phrase that's often used in the Bible, 14 times, in fact, in the New Testament, and frequently Christ is condemning it. We have it in the book of Matthew, Mark, and First Corinthians. So, in Greek, the word for traditions is paradosis, which means to pass down a way of believing or acting in the New Testament, and the word is used in a negative way in most passages, with Christ and the apostles disapproving of it. So, that being said, I wanted to know if Christ was not for it and he's constantly condemning Pharisees of traditions of men, what is it? When we look in Hebrew, it's known as Kabbalah. And I literally have it from the Kabbalistic Tarot right here. As understood today, the word Kabbalah means a tradition or that which is received. It also means a specific system of metaphysics. But in earlier centuries, Kabbalah had more general meaning that of the law. It could mean the oral law, or it could be the law of Moses in the first 5 books of the Bible, the Torah, or the Pentateuch in Greek. It was not until the 12th century that the term assumed precise meaning. There's two separate schools of Kabbalah, that of Judaism and the product of the Italian Renaissance thought, termed in the Hermetic Kabbalah. Now, I'm throwing out the Hermetic Kabbalah because the Caduceus staff connects with an individual known as Hermes. I'm going to be showing how Trump has name etymology to this individual. So, If you've done tarot or tarot cards, right? This connects with this. A lot of people do not know what the elements are, but when you put these 4 points together, so you have fire, the triangle going upward, water going downward, air going upward with a slash through it, and earth pointing downward with a slash through it, this is the elements. In essence, if we can harness the alchemical elements of God, then we don't need him anymore. We can ascend to become our own gods. That's what the occult believes.
Yeah, I was going to say that seems to be a popular notion in many of the individuals and groups we always talk about.
Yes, yes. And a lot of people who claim to be against the system, I'm going to be showing they're practitioners of avenues or different slices of the same kind of pie. You know, it's like, okay, I got my grandmother's recipe for how to make mac and cheese, right? But it's a little bit different, but it's still mac and cheese, right? But there's a little bit of this in there and blah, 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 and it makes it special. It's the family recipe. That's what I'm going to be showing is how these things all interconnect to the same thing. I'm going to show basically how it all boils down. The Magician tarot card, you notice anything about him from the biblical Jesus figure? White tunic, red sash, as they always depict for us in the lovely Catholic, usually phrased photos.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you got the infinity symbol above his head where maybe
Yes.
a halo would go.
Yes. Also, magician means MAGA in most Latin-based countries. That's not a coincidence. He's doing the same pose as the Statue of Liberty, carrying a torch in her case. That particular stance going like this is as above, so below. In essence, that's let's conjoin all these elements together and we can become our own god.
Now, is that a candle burning on both ends being held there?
I believe so, or it's a scroll. There's several variations I have seen of this particular tarot card.
Okay.
The pose and the arraignment on the table is a little bit more of the importance. When I've noticed when I'm looking at these, the thing that he holds is sometimes different, varying on what the interpretation or whatever the stylist or the artist prefers. What is always consistent, though, is the I or the one in the very top over here.
Okay.
So why is that important? I, one, that equals your God potential, your all-seeing eye, your third eye. So when you're looking over at CERN, that equals your God particle. Followers, or the mark of the beast is 666. The followers of the beast is 616.
I have heard that recently.
Yes. In Greek, so if you're going, let's say, by Skull and Bones, right? Founded on 322. 3 times 22, 66. What's missing? Your I, the one, the God particle. How to connect all those dots to ascend. If you're going by Masonic 33. 33 times 2 equals 66. What's missing? The I, the one, the God particle. 911. 9 times 11 equals 99. Invert that, 66. What's missing? The I. So again, it's a consistent theme. And as you noted, the Ouroboros, the infinity logo, is snatched right between the two. It's very intentionally phrased that way, and it's going to connect to Trump and Baron, Nimrod and Tammuz. I'm going to show you by the time we get to the end how this all interconnects and what they're trying to do in the occult. You don't have to believe me, but I can show you consistently when you start looking at it from this view, you're going to start going, I see it now. I got a lot of people telling me that. They didn't believe at first, then they looked and they were going, oh God, yes.
So you have swayed some Trumpy people?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Some of them were diehard supporters, but then they said, okay, I started cross-referencing with the Bible and some of these occultic texts like you've mentioned on screen. I said, yeah, don't take my word for it. I never want anybody to believe me 100%. I want you to pick up the shovel and read for yourself or research for yourself, because I want you to come to that conviction conclusion yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. One thing I wanted to ask you before we move to the next one is,
For sure.
so I do know 322 is a huge day they like to use for certain rituals and sacrifices. Do you know if June 16th being the real mark of the beast number 616, Do you know if that one has any like big events? Because I've never looked at that date in particular.
I think that has a lot of potential because the month of June is supposed to be actually affiliated with Hermes or Monterete. I'm probably butchering it, but it's supposed to be affiliated with mintage, coinage. Hermes, aka Tammuz, Thoth, all the same guy. I'm going to be showing how they're all equivalents. He is alleged to be the originator of coinage. So a mark of the beast in the month of June with 616, that's good. I knew it was going to be probably May or June when they'd probably pitch something, but the fact that you said 616, that makes a lot of sense. That's
Yeah,
a
I
nice.
mean, maybe after we get off here, we could each kind of just dive down some historical rabbit holes and see what that date has given us. Because off the
Yeah,
top of my head, of course, I've never looked for it, but yeah, I bet you there's some stuff. And like
dude.
you said, maybe some stuff to come.
I would pitch possibly within the next 2 to 3 years. I'm leaning on two because, as I'll be showing in a clip, Trump's pitching a monetary solution with international. I'm going to explain how that would cancel out BRICS, quote unquote. You know how they put the fear out there, and then they come in with the solution. As always, that's what I'm going to try to explain.
Okay.
And his reason for selecting Scott Bessent, which is the Soros head, Soros glitching, but he's buddies with Soros. Let's just put it that way. Google it. um, but Aleister Crowley, you noted as well that he has Thoth, the tarot deck, and again the Infinity logo. So it's not just me pitching things. I'm showing compare, contrast. The symbol is important to the bad guys.
Now, is Thoth like the OG tarot deck?
Thoth, Hermes, Baphomet's actually the same guy.
Okay.
You want to know how I know this? Because this little caduceus staff is his manhood.
Oh, yeah. There it is.
And the original phrase, as above, so below, as the universe, so the soul, is affiliated with Hermes Trismegistus.
I do want to say, like, if people out there in either one of our audiences are just listening to this,
Uh-huh.
this might be a great episode to catch on one of the video platforms.
For sure. Usually my stuff is, or at least peek
Yeah,
over every time we're talking about something. Um, so, to quote Albert Pike, he's actually a relative of mine. I think I mentioned when
you
we were
did.
doing, yeah. So, all truly dogmatic religions have issued from the Kabbalah, so traditions, and returned to it. Everything scientific and grand in the religious streams of the Illuminati, the light, is borrowed from the Kabbalah. All the Masonic associations owe it to their secrets and their symbols. Now, you will note that you could put the caduceus overlaying on this Kabbalah tree of life over here, either or. And it's supposed to represent all the following of ether, meaning moon, reflection with Mercury, divine fantasy with Venus, so on and so forth. And at the very top is known as Kether in the Jewish tradition. And again, I'm saying Jewish as in Y-E-W. I'm talking about a conifer yew tree, which connects with Christmas trees and their whole. It's a tree that never dies, as immortality, everlasting life. This is why it represents them. I'm not bashing ethnicity. I always go after ideology. I cannot emphasize that enough. As a Christian, I don't even believe in races, so take that. But at the top, as I said, is Kether, but in Masonic Latin, it's known as corona, a spiked crown. So it was not a coincidence that we went through that event, going into details for censors, for a reason. It was all just a ritual to get us all jib with stuff. And I'll be covering what that stuff did.
All right. And it's amazing to me that you get people talking about the COVID experience, and I know a lot of people who think, oh, they just did that to get Trump out. And I don't know. I've always had an issue with that sentiment
Oh,
myself.
yeah. I was like, no, no, it wasn't. When I was tapping into the 9/11 thing, I was going, he was exactly 55 years old when that went down. 5 plus 5, X. What happened exactly 19 years later? The pandemic. 1 plus 9, X. Um, And again, A equals 1. 9 is the ninth letter in the alphabet. A plus 9 equals X. Osiris rising. It's not a coincidence, folks. For them, it's all about numbers and rituals. And what you don't see between the numbers is how they operate. Minus, plus, it's all dates. It's all guided by the stars. This is how they operate, whether you want to believe it or not. So this is why when we are saying psyop, yes, 1, there's clues. 2, there's symbolism. 3, there's dates. It's like there's a consistent pattern here if you know what to look for. It's like going after a serial killer. You just see somebody was murdered. We're over here going, yeah, this is the MO of the same guy that did this and this and this. So, the heart chakra, known in Sanskrit as the Anahata, is the neuter connector of the soul, connecting the top 3 female chakras with the bottom of the 3 male chakras. So that would equal the 6 points of your Star of Remphan, Star of David. It controls the circulatory system of the soul. The heart chakra is different in that it is shaped like a yoni. So, interesting fact, have you ever seen the tattoos on Baphomet's arms?
No.
One reads Solve, to bring something into existence, and it connects with Mithraism. I was reading another book, and I literally dropped the book. Here's all, folks. I was reading the book, and I dropped it because I was going, well, there's your home run. Mithra also connects with this, and Mithra slaying the bull. You might see this individual wearing a little Figurian hat, and he's slaying the throat of the bull. You can Google it. It's easy enough to find. And that's supposed to be the equivalent of slaying God, going to go kill God. So the fact Solve was connected with the Mithra ritual made me go, So that's why Baphomet was worshipped. So Solve means to bring something from another realm into existence. The other one is coagula, blood clot.
Oh, interesting.
So 9/11, Solve, coagula. So what's the third? You have a pentagram on Baphomet's forehead. Penta means 5 in Latin. Gram, or 5G, the god ram, the goat ram, the G on the Masonic apron.
Okay.
Affiliated with time travel with the sigil of Astaroth, aka pentagram. Made me go, who signed that into law in 2020? It was one Mr. Donald J. Trump. And they want 6G by 2030. The first prototypes are ready to go by 2028. And Elon is paying people overtime just to get those things up by that date. Why?
So are they all, is it all Elon doing this, the 6G technology, or is it kind of going to be widespread across many networks?
I think Elon is going to be the top facilitator of all of this, or is basically going to report it to him. If I had to go biblically and take a wild guess, and again, oh, you just sound like a French crazy. No, I'm actually not like the French crazy, because the French crazies are trying to throw a man into the mix. I'm just saying biblically, you're lining up real good with the bad guy, who is the false prophet that backs up the Antichrist. To further corroborate that, I could have put the slide in here, but his nanny,
Yes.
when you've seen this?
Are you talking about Elon?
Yes, his
Yeah.
nanny was saying, "Is he the Antichrist?" He's like, "No, but he'll be the guy. The man who walks on stage after him will be the Antichrist, but he will be the one that presents the mark."
Yeah, and I believe her name was Rosemary,
Rosemary,
the nanny.
yeah, Shalom girl, I think, and she lives in Oregon, if I remember correctly.
Oh,
She's
really?
up in Oregon, yeah. You actually might be able to find her.
Track her ass down.
I got some questions.
Because we always joked with on the Spiritual Gangsters. I did an Elon presentation, and Teresa brought some really interesting stuff about Elon's childhood that I hadn't heard before, and so that always stuck with me. Like, she claimed that his eyes would go black and shit.
Yeah, when he was doing this little head thing at the inauguration, that's over. You're going, yeah, I don't. I think he's possessed, bro.
It's not just ketamine.
Oh, definitely. I was reading comments all over the place, being like, "I suffer from it too, and that's not what we do." Blah blah blah. Or even with the special salute, I was going.
I was going to ask you that because when I heard the left media freaking out over this, I assumed, oh, they're making something out of nothing. I've watched it probably dozens of times since then. I can't, like, and he even doubled down. He
Yes.
turned around just in case the people in the back didn't see him do it. Like there
Right.
are incidents, like I don't think AOC's doing it when she's doing her,
Right.
but they're like, look at all these other people who have done it. What Elon did, I mean, obviously intentional. And
Yes.
now he's just making all these Nazi jokes on X. But anyway, I'll let you get into that at the
It,
due time.
it's classic deflection, but when they're saying the fourth industrial revolution, that's code for the Fourth Reich with Klaus Schwab. And if you know anything about, did you see the clip that Elon released? I think it was on Twitter. He might have deleted it to create the Mandela effect, but I did a breakdown, 2 hours worth of a 2 minute clip of all the stuff he threw in there of a totalitarian state coming in. And
Oh.
he said at Trump's rally, huh, I'm Dark MAGA, the dark
Yeah,
magician.
Dark MAGA. That I mean,
Yeah.
he started selling hats.
Oh, we're gonna cover some of that.
And
Yeah,
is that a direct translation to black magic? Because
correct.
we already
It's
talked
literally
about.
it's throwing it right in our face. But again, they're doing the classic thing of saying no, it doesn't mean that. But again, I'm gonna show you compare, contrast, compare, contrast. It is that. And like I said, this is not all just random stuff I'm throwing out and then oh well no, it's going to you're gonna see how it all interjects and right into the modern little golden age ceremony. When he was sworn in was intentionally on that date. And connecting with the Luciferian prophetess that connects with the Yunen. I'm going to show that. So the seven towers of Satan, or the Zairas, six of them are trapezoidal in form, and one in the center of Mount Lelesh, shaped like a sharp fluted point. The Satanic Rituals by Anton LaVey. Now, Anton LaVey was the founder of the Church of Satan, if folks did not know. Again, he goes on to talk. The heart chakra does have power, but not the kind of power that the strongest chakra of the soul, the 666 chakra of the sun, has. Huh. The powers of the heart chakra are lesser. This is why the enemy is always touting in the mainstream books, and this is the age of dogma out there that is readily available to the public. So again, I got this off of the joyofsatanministries.com. So when people are telling me they're doing chakras, they're trying to ascend and do the little Om thing to get to their third eye, I caution this because Aleister Crowley was a fan of it. He was a Satanist. And then we have the founder of the Church of Satan confirming that this whole try to find this inner light between the two pillars is going to help you. And the sun chakra, now, you might have noticed a little thing with the God consciousness movement going on. Oh, that we find God within. This is a fluke from Constantine, who didn't want to get rid of his sun god ritual ways. And so he created the Pontifex, which the word translated in the Cult of Sol Invictus, a book that I bought that cost $94 because they don't want this stuff getting out there. It is the chief of the pagan priests. So what he did, in essence, I am God on earth while Christ is up in heaven. So sun god worship, son of God worship ended up merging. And this was Sol Invictus and Mithraism, counterfeit Christianity. And again, most people didn't know, none the wiser. You challenge most Catholics today to look into the symbolism. They don't want to. If they did, yeah, you'd be finding out you've been going to a lie all your life.
Yeah, and just it can't be overlooked that the stronghold that the fine folks at the Vatican have had over mainstream Christianity too. It's like I'm sure that people like you know the difference, but most people don't.
That's just the thing is most Protestants, even today, they're all gravitating towards Trump. And when you look up Helios, again, another spiked crown guy, Addis, Liberty, Cybele, spiked crown at the top of the Hermetic Kabbalah tree, Corona. Helios, you look up Trump, you'll find a lot of articles that say east to west, east meets west. Helios was the guy that brought where we get heliocentrism, globe Earth from. Excuse me, globe Earth from. Heliocentrism, east to west. Here's something interesting. Were you hearing about the Vatican opening all those portals
Recently?
last year?
No,
Yes.
no.
Oh, we'll touch on that. Yeah, they opened up like 5, 6 portals in the sigil of Lucifer. When you go and you did the Google Maps, you're like, that's the sigil of Lucifer opening. SOL, soul, So you're doing this around Christmas, and you had on the Vatican news saying that Sol does connect with Christmas. Yes, I did an episode on this. And then between a Statue of Liberty, SOL, Sol, is exactly 4,000 something something miles. When you add 4 plus 2, 4, and then the other two numbers, it ended up being exactly 616 apart from each other.
Interesting.
Like, that's not a coincidence.
So how were they opening these portals?
In essence, what they were doing, they were trying to, again, Vatican gives such vague answers. It's like, well, what were you doing? But the last one that they opened was at a prison at St. Belisca, whatever, with Peter. So they were tapping into some dark stuff, and considering that was the year of the dragon, and now we are in the year of the snake, I don't think that's just a coincidence.
Now, did the Vatican commission Copernicus to come up with the heliocentric model? Because I've heard that it's not something I've ever really verified for myself.
Yes, good book on that. The Greatest Lie on Earth by Edward Hendry.
Ooh, catchy title.
Oh, dude, it's like 700 something pages. The guy is meticulous with citations. Some people get freaked out because like he works in the government, but you read his stuff, he doesn't endorse a lot of the. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes, yes, it's an ends to a means. Like I work for the IRS, or like again, not me. I'm saying I know somebody else. I work for the IRS. Does that mean I have to freaking hate your guts? Yes, I hate the tax aspect, but I do understand it's a degree you got, and it's the only place they'll probably hire you, except for maybe one or two, H&R Block. So, or are you going to go and get the money to feed your family? You know what I'm saying? So,
What do you make of this talk of it becoming the external revenue service? Is that just placating us, or is that something that you think might come to fruition?
so with all of it, even with the Meha Maha, whatever you want to say, make America healthy again, and this bird flu thing, what are they doing ultimately? They're creating scarcity on the shelves. It's going to be like, well, don't worry, there's a shortage, but we're making it better. So what does that do for the healthier stuff that's already there? Like eggs right now are like $12 in California, from what I'm hearing. It's around $10 over here in Connecticut.
Yeah.
It's going to basically inflate things through the roof. Don't worry, we'll get China to pay for it with tariffs and whatnot, right? It's going to keep chasing the carrot, keep chasing the carrot. It's okay. I'm going to fix it. I'm going to fix it. Without folks even realizing, well, what about the economy now? Don't worry, we're going to find a digital solution. That'll fix it because, bricks can't keep up with a digital, right? One thing after the other after the other. You keep chasing it and say, "Oh, okay. I'll trust you one more month. I'll trust you one more day." This is what I'm seeing.
Was it yesterday that he just put a pause on all federal grants? And
Yes.
if you heard, the lefties covering that, they're talking about Medicaid is totally shut down. Then if you talk about, or if you hear the conservative talking heads talking about it, they're like, no, he's just freezing all of our federal spending so they can, reconfigure all of our foreign aid. I don't know. It's the answer is probably somewhere between the two. I don't know exactly. I didn't really have time to kind of dive into it, but you can always hear both sides, what each side is saying, and they're totally missing the mark usually.
Or they're both giving half the story, and that's what I love about it. Is like, oh, you're citing this side. It's like each side is giving half the story. The thing is, you are funneled and filtered to only interpret the side they want you to hear, so that you argue with yourselves about the stupidity, little trivial things, or you'll cite Tucker Carlson or whoever. You become a societal parrot, and you don't really think and articulate for yourself, like, this is my 2 cents. And when you do, that's when the crowd comes after you, going, "You're against my guy, or you voted for the other one." No, and contrary, I didn't go for either side. I'm just thinking for myself, critical thinking. That's what you said, right? And it's like Republicans unfollows are the equivalent of a liberal needing a safe space. It's like when you confront them with the truth, they get angry. Why, bro? So even when they say you got TDS, it's like, no, you have a mental STD for the guy. And don't tell me I'm wrong, because Tom McDonald just did a whole song, "Daddy's Home," and as well, Charlie Kirk from Turning Point USA, "Daddy's Home" was the caption for one of his tweets. Don't tell me you guys don't have some sort of sick man. I don't want to hear it, dude. I don't.
Well,
want to hear
I've
it.
always said that Trump derangement syndrome is on both sides. You're either
Oh
deranged
yeah,
one way or the other. And like,
Stockholm syndrome to one extreme, and it's everything's his fault to the other.
Right. And neither one of us like the guy, but I wouldn't say that we're deranged on our reasoning where
Mine's
the
biblical.
the reasons the left doesn't like him is all the reasons I do like him. I
Right.
can't help but be entertained by the shit show when he's just triggering every fucking person I can't stand out there.
Dude, I told people, I said I voted for him twice. Third time I was like, no. First time it was my first time voting, but in comparison to Hillary and what I did know, okay, he wasn't even my additional candidate that I wanted. And then the second time, I felt like I was going to a whorehouse standing in the polls. I felt so bad standing there. I was like, I shouldn't even be here today. Like, this is not where I'm supposed to go. And then the third time, I'm like, I'm just not voting anymore because I'm seeing like hey, it's the game. They want me to consent, and I'm not playing that game. It's consenting to who's gullible enough to play the game still. And the irony is, dude, you get so much hate. And I'm like, I wrote a comment, and I still remember this because I like my prose. I'm a writer, and I said I wanted a Rottweiler in the junkyard and not another poodle, as an allegory of drain the swamp. But now I'm like, he didn't drain the swamp. He gave Fauci an award for his whole
Yeah,
handling of the special thing.
a
I'm
lot of
like,
people overlook that too. Like they were at odds, not one bit. I
yeah,
remember tons of sound clips coming out in like March, April of 2020 where he's just praising the guy. And
yep.
then they do this like faux internal struggle that the two had, and like you said, right on his way out the door, he gives him a fucking award. And I mean that they play into the mythology and the allegory by having Biden give him a full pardon dating back to when he was kind of edging around
Yep.
the laws that Obama put in there to kind of rein back gain of function. And I believe all Fauci did was change the definition of gain of function, and that came
Hmm.
out later in a lot of the Rand Paul exchanges.
The government will always protect their own, and if they don't, they silence them and make sure they never talk again. That's the game, folks.
Do you think that, since we're on this path for a second, do you think
Yeah.
that uh, Fauci will have a reemergence with this bird flu they're pushing? I've already seen him talking about it just mildly, but it doesn't seem like people are really paying him attention anymore.
If anything, I think they're gonna hush them away and like you're off stage now. Now your part is done. I think now they're probably gonna bring in somebody else. If anything, I could see them doing something with Elon and Oracle with the mRNA. We're this thing will help fix you guys. It's That's what I could potentially see because now they just created turbo cancer, but now they're gonna have a solution where you can literally stick it right in your heart and that will fix it.
So you're saying Ellison is going to be the figurehead for whatever may come.
Ellison and Musk, I truly believe, will be the two chief dogs. But I think Musk is ultimately the top puppet player, but Ellison is going to be the guy like facilitating that specific project.
Okay.
That's my 2 cents. Whether it happens or not, I don't really care. It's just I'm observing what I see right now. Whether it's true or not, don't really care.
And I do want to just take a moment to say to people who might not know Ellison, because he's one of those
I'll
guys
touch on him too in here.
that should be more looked into as heavily as like the Bill Gates of the world.
Yes.
I mean, I think I made an X post the other day saying that if this was an 80s movie and Bill Gates was the nerdy girl trying to get laid and he lost his glasses and sweater and grew a little porn stash, they're the same person. I mean, their inflection when they're speaking, it's almost uncanny.
Yes. Nice analogy. Nice analogy.
Well, and I've been looking into Oracle a little bit more the last few weeks, just
Yeah.
because of things that have transpired, and that shit's scary. I mean, I've always like kind of raised the alarms on Palantir with Peter Thiel, but
Hmm.
now you have this other facet with Ellison that will. I mean, Thiel brings in the security state. Ellison wants to put it inside of us, and I don't know if the brain chip talk has also been down a lot lately. The Neuralink, which makes me think that they might be doing some type of warp speed thing on that. I
Or
always
that'll be
said
part of the
that Musk
solution when
has the first one. I think Musk is chipped. I think because when you watch him in interviews, he sits and he pauses like he's processing, and everybody's
right.
like, "Yeah, he's autistic," but I don't believe he's autistic either. I think that's one of his
Axe.
The character he's playing, that's one of the attributes that has seemed to kind of disappear at moments. There's
Hmm.
moments where he's not autistic in the slightest. And when he is acting ultra autistic, it does seem like an act.
Right. Right. Or he's trying to get away from something, so I'm just gonna act like I'm stupid.
Right.
Yeah.
Or make a fucking like cheesy as hell dad joke.
Right. Right.
And then he loves to laugh at himself too. I mean, I don't remember Elon Musk laughing once until he started going on Joe Rogan's podcast like the second or third time. Now that's all he does, and he's got this. It's like a maniacal.
Oh.
It's like a maniacal. He's like like it just doesn't fit him, and
Yeah.
it might be real. I don't know.
Or he's just demon possessed at this point, dude. Like I truly have been saying this from the start. I truly think that he's going to make Governor Abbott walk with Neuralink.
Oh, that'd be a good. I think that's a pretty decent prediction there
Because it's a
because
prominent name, it's in his state, and he says it's going to cure paralysis. And if you're going by Revelation, it says he'll be able to start making the blind see and the lame walk. I already know Abbott is big into Who knows? Maybe Abbott actually, is not even cripple, but enough where it's just like, wasn't there a movie where somebody played the cripple the whole time, and at the end you're over here like, he can walk. I can't remember, but
Kaiser Soze.
Kaiser, so is that what I'm thinking of?
It was the usual suspects. It was Kevin Spacey. He's a gimp. And at
Yeah,
the end of the
yeah.
movie, he just kind of walks away from the police station and starts walking normally. I don't know if that's what you're talking about, but
I think there's a couple of them, but he's over here like he can't. But again, a prominent figure, especially on the right, especially at the border, that can
he's
suddenly
been
start
getting a
walking.
lot of press since Trump got back in. He's at all the places, and Trump makes sure to acknowledge him. Oh, I didn't even know
Yes,
you were here, sir. Why aren't you sitting in the front?
your impression is on point.
It's a more cartoonish version.
But yes, yes. Oh gosh. Um, yeah. Just to touch though, the two pillars of Freemasonry, those also represent the two towers. World Trade Centers. Hermes was known as the god of trade. Yeah, I'm going to show how that connects with something that you and I probably carry around in our safes. So again, I'm getting some of this literally right off of Hermes, the Alchemists on Instagram, because this stuff pops up just showing that the chakras do connect with Hermes, even though they're going to say no, it connects only with Kundalini. It's all interconnecting. I'm showing that because they're pushing this agenda, and this is what the occult believes, and you are being groomed into accepting this because you don't understand what it is they believe, right? Interesting thing that I found when you were looking up the symbol of Mercury, aka Mercury, hermaphrodite Hermes, it's also the symbol for transgender.
Yep.
And it's in the month of June, which is connecting again with the month of coinage, aka the month of pride. And when you invert the pride flag, it is the chakras. So if you're thinking this is all a coincidence, and again, if you're going biblically, who determined two genders? God. Was it Trump? No. But today, Trump's fixed it to determine there's two. You know what I'm saying? He's already putting
Yeah.
himself like, I fixed it. I'm the one that determined that. Substitute. That is Antichrist. That's what the word means too. I'm substituting myself. You're not supposed to do that.
Well, and also I just found it funny that he did come through with his promise to pardon Ross Ulbricht, and
Yes.
he sure as fuck took his time on that to the point where everybody's starting to say, "Oh, just another unkept promise." But
Mm-hmm.
I was listening to somebody, might have been Dave Smith, Libertarian podcast, part
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
problem. He was talking about how, yeah, he's just getting rid of this, or he's just getting all the important stuff taken care of first. I've got it confirmed by sources that Ross is in the stack. So at that point, I'm just going, okay. And then the next day, he did pardon him, but he sure as fuck wanted to do this other stuff first. And one of them was, like you were pointing out, the two gender thing.
Yes.
Yeah, my son's mom, she called me that day and was like, "Oh my God, he's taken all the transgender stuff out of the schools and all this." And like you said, uh, it wasn't like that until the
Right.
last few years. So we're just returning to
Or they
something that
were they weren't amping it on such an excess rate, right? So create the chaos, restore the order, right? Order out of chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's their playing card. You can see it clearly if you know how to what to look for. In on the emerald tablets that Hermes, Nimrod's son, Tammuz, if you're going off of biblical stuff, again, I'm going off the occult version of history that the Bible does not touch on, but I can confirm this is what they believe. So Nimrod came down off of the plains of Shinar. He established a kingdom roughly the size of Greater Israel, the little patch that they have on their logos. We're not fighting for any holy land, holy people. Nope, 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 nope. You're establishing the ancient empire of Nimrod, Babel, Tower of Babel. And Nimrod's son, Hermes, Tammuz, Thoth, Mercury, fill in the blank of all of his equivalents after Babel, and the language is all confusing. He translated the Emerald Tablets, which were made pre-flood, which was all the ways that the fallen angels taught mankind to how to find your inner God, right? So in their call, he says on his translation of the Emerald Tablets, the sun is father, aka Nimrod, pointing upward. The moon is mother, pointing downward. When you put those two pillars together, you get the ultimate Remphan, how to become your balanced individual God, to find that inner light of God within yourself. Third eye. Three philosophies of mankind. So that's what they get in the Hermes, the 3 points of the triangle. Why is that on our money? In God we trust. God's constantly saying, or when you're talking, when Christ is talking, lay not your treasures in things of this world, but on things above. Render unto Caesar, give to the man the things of this world, but unto God the things that are God's. But your spiritual priorities first and foremost to God. They, in contrast, what is as above, so below? We bring God down to our level. We don't get rid of him. We merge the word and the world, earth and eternity, scripture and science. Fill in the blank. We mix and merge it and dilute it so much that people get confused, but that is our God on earth. Create God in your own image. That is as above, so below. And a lot of Christians, they don't get it. They're like, what do you mean? I can't have Christ in country? No. Christ himself, specifically. I think it's in John chapter 14. My kingdom is not of this world. So I can't. No, you can't. And the fact that you're justifying it and trying to use scripture, you are changing God's word.
So do you think that that plays into Elon constantly talking about how we need to merge with artificial intelligence and the technology he's okay.
I'm going to be touching it all together. How it connects with CERN and potentially a mark of the beast like thing. With this golden age, they're really showing their hand. And I'm chuckling because there's a verse in Revelation that really makes me go, they literally told us it's right here. And people don't want to acknowledge it because, okay, so most Christians, they don't care about other people. They're one of the most narcissistic individuals in the world. Because they think, I get out before it gets really bad. All y'all's are suckers. Should have come to church, y'all's. Bye. That's what they think with the rapture extraction plan of salvation. There is no discipling. There is no talking. There is no listening to what somebody has to say if they're hurt and grieving, right? The very word sermon, we all go, oh, we have to sit there and listen to the holy man speak. The word sermon means talk. Like we're doing now. If you have questions, you can ask. Again, and again, whether you want to or not. But I'm saying, you follow what I'm saying? A podcast could be that. Talking at a Dunkin' Donuts, for crying out loud. Doesn't mean I have to say, or you're going to convert, or I'm going to stab you, or I'm going to burn you at the stake. No, it's you have a thinking and reasoning mind. What do you want? What do you want confirmed? If I'm truly working on myself, it's an anomaly enough for you to go, I like that. Well, why do you live that way? Because in contrast, as opposed to just saying, that's just pagan, that's just Satanism, what is it? What do they believe? You ask the average Christian dude, I guarantee you they'll say, well, they worship Satan. You don't know. What I'm showing you is this is what they're thinking. And if it sounds narcissistic, if it sounds perverted, if it sounds inverted, if you like the false flag events, you'll probably side with them. In contrast, I'm just showing you, do you know where this is all going to end? Because I do. And I want to, help give clarity to people. So if you want to know where you're going to go with your journey and paternity, if you ever had that thought process go on, maybe this will give you an answer. Anything you want to comment back before I continue? Just pointing again, just mainly touching the one on the left, confirming that it is connecting with the witch page that I found on Instagram.
Right. No, you can go to the next one. I had something I was going to say, but I forgot what it was, and I
I
don't think it
gotcha.
really pertained to anything other than some side tangent.
Okay, okay. I don't have to read all of this, but as I was stating before, for the Christmas tree thing, something I found interesting: the 12th night of Christmas was January 6th. You're going by Catholic lore. That is the Epiphany of John the Baptist, where allegedly he baptized Christ on that day. So is that like a rebirth ritual? Secondly, as an adolescent, he was allegedly visited by the Magi. Root word for Magi? MAGA. J6. What did the crowd choose? The insurrectionist over Paul. What did he create after this? Truth Social. Christ in contrast. I am the way, the truth, and the life.
I didn't even make that connection. That's a good one.
I'm going, okay, okay. So this tradition, however, does not seem to signify when the department stores, would take down or put up the Christmas trees in September onwards. But the Christmas tree itself symbolizes immortality and everlasting life, and the lights draped on it are a reminder that during the darkest days of the year, lighter days are just around the corner. The Yule celebrations in Northern Europe were echoed in similar rituals in Southern Europe. The Roman god Attis was the savior god whose life story very much parallels that of Christ. Attis was born on December 25th to a virgin mother and was sacrificed to save mankind, killed beneath a conifer yew tree. That's why I always emphasize that. And remaining there for 3 days and nights and the tomb before his resurrection. So, it continues and then it says Attis is also linked with the sun god Apollo. Everything I noticed about this particular individual: Attis, spiked crown; Helios, spiked crown; Liberty, spiked crown; Sol Invictus, spiked crown. You look up Apollo, it'd be a spiked crown. And Corona, spiked crown. Not a coincidence that they put this atop of a tree, or finding the
Right.
star, that inner light of God within yourself, or an angel at top, right?
Do you put up a Christmas tree?
I do not. I'm actually one of the top podcaster people who get me on to say, okay, we got controversy. You say it's pagan. Please explain to us why. I've gotten a few people to get rid of them because it is, in a Christian's perspective, even a cross, as I'm going to touch here, it's a pagan symbol. And as a Christian, we're not supposed to be dabbling in things that are going to be looking like of the world. We're supposed to be like, we don't do that. Well, why? I can give an answer as opposed to just say it's pagan. I want to tell you why, because this would be grieving God's heart. Because in Christianity, Christ gives us new life, right? And in Christ, again, as I always say to folks, I actually do not agree with the Trinity. I believe that Christ was his own entity, because when you read it, you frequently just put, when you read the Son, read the Word. It says you can't get to God without going through God. If you're going by Protestantism, no.
Hmm.
No man comes to God the Father except through the Son. What is the Son? Well, John 1:14, the Word was made flesh and dwelt amongst us. Revelation 19:13 says Christ returns and his name is the Word of God. So the Word of God is his own separate entity. It was formulated in man through Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, but it also was breathed from God. So it is the only individual that breaks that barrier of crossing the firmament to going into heaven. Contrast, the occult believes in the Trinity, and you can achieve this own immortality or Son of God soul within yourself. So that makes a little bit more sense. I always try to say, no, you have to submit to the Word in order to get to God the Father. And a lot of people don't want to submit to the Word. They want to merge with Kabbalah, saying, well, I want this too. No, it's not how that works. Can't take what you. It's no, 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 no.
So
Um,
aside from being like the method of crucifixion, is the cross a symbol of the Trinity, just with the three posts kind of at the top there?
in a sense, it also means the Kaaba cube, so it represents Earth. Um, as with every cube, I was noticing with D&D, kind of made me a little sad because I like the fantasy roleplay aspect, but the dice was making me go, I don't know, maybe I should walk away from this too. And it's a process. But the cube represents Earth, so it's loving the things of this Earth, and it's connected. History, yeah, not wiki I'm reading here. It's citations here show the cross used to be a religious symbol of centuries before Christ. The shape of the two-beamed cross has its own origin in Chaldea and was used to represent the god Tammuz, an equivalent of Hermes, Nimrod's son. Trump has name etymology to this guy. And the Christians, quote unquote, in America are supporting this guy, claiming, oh, yeah, he's acknowledged God. Not really.
Well, you might be touching on this at some point, but
Yeah.
I've noticed a lot of people making a big deal out of when he's sworn in, he doesn't touch the Bible. Does that have any kind of significance?
Yes,
And did he the first time?
he did.
Okay.
Big significance actually for the second time. Especially, did you see I should have thrown that in here. Eric Trump, and it was deleted within 20 minutes. This tweet saying like, you better basically submit to this golden age thing, or we're going to do a lot much worse if you don't accept our thing. I'm like, wow, kind of showing us your hand there. Like, what if I don't accept it? I'm basically anti-patriotic. And I think this is also the thing that we're going to start seeing is that if you are against Trump or anti-country, that's what we're going to online censorship. And it's going to be the conservative right that gets that because they're hating what people are saying about Trump. You know what I'm saying? So they're going to advocate a TikTok ban or whatever because, oh, you're exposing my savior. So, yes, I'm going to advocate oppress me harder because it's going after the guy that you love more.
Yeah, and you can see this already on X, which the fact that anybody ever thought Elon saved free speech, I got kicked off of Twitter permanently after he bought it, and it was because I called Hassan Piker a cunt. But really, a few days before that, I had put a bunch of slides up from Jeremiah's presentation on our show about Elon, and I mean, he's dug up everything in his past, showed his real life versus the story we're given, and I can't not think that's why I got removed. And I'm nobody. I've got less than 1,000 followers, and I was removed. I ended up using the Conspiracy Playtime Gmail to set up my current one, and I still go hard against Elon, but it doesn't seem to be happening. But you know the Laura Loomer thing that went down. She's a big personality in like the conservative independent media, but it doesn't matter who she is. The fact is, she pointed out, what was it? Oh, she went hard against Vivek, and then basically was like, you know, if Trump's going to team up with Elon and Vivek, she just kind of went off, and Elon deplatformed her unofficially by removing her followers and shadow banning her heavily. And that to me was just a sign of things to come.
Wow. So didn't even kick her off, just removed the followers.
Yeah, what I believe he did was just remove her followers and then just gave her post zero exposure after that.
I'm telling you, he's like the Republican Obama. I can't stand the guy. Wow, dude. Yeah, like people keep telling me, I'm like, I don't want to get into that circus. I said I'd probably be calling out Ben Shapiro and whatnot, and everybody, you know, like this. It's not going to end well. It's just
Dirty
like,
anti-Semite, you.
Well, you know, no, I can't stand how people like the guy. I mean, for me, he sounds like a constipated duck with a bee lodged in his throat. It's like, he's not my type. Not
well. And then there's Tim Pool is the one I like to go after. I call him Beanie Chihuahua, and that fucking guy has been what you said, kind of the stuff Eric Trump was saying, like get on board or get the fuck out of the way. Pool's been saying that for the last 2 years. And
somebody was talking about where some of these bombs came from, and they were from Israel, blah 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 blah. And he immediately is like, "It doesn't really matter where the bombs come from." And the guy just looked at him like, "Bro, like." Now, if I was saying it was from Syria, Lebanon, this fill in the blank of all these other ones, yeah, let's keep talking about that. But you mentioned them,
yeah,
no, hard stop, and you have to ask yourself why, because they're practitioners of the Kabbalah, and in Trump's book. Way to the top, page 193. He says, one day, my Kabbalah teacher, Eaton Yardini, the same guy as Madonna, Kabbalah is the root for the Masons. I think Albert Pike, if I remember correctly, Kabbalah is, in essence, he basically says Masons, and it connects with the Catholic Church. So I'll have to find that exact quote again. I used to have it down by heart, but I've been doing so much lately. But oh yeah, it's the search for light, as you will see, leads us directly back to the Kabbalah Masonry. So Kabbalah, they, basically why we have the UNA party, and I go YEW, a party, Ukraine, why we support the chosen people, quote unquote, is because of APAC and because they all go back to the same people. Gentiles are basically cousins, and also dispensationalism, which is false theology that everything is sacred with that land, that people. It's been canceled out in the Bible, and I did an episode, God's Been Divorced, making sure that that's been thoroughly debunked with scripture. It's 4 hours long, dude. Like 4.5 hours. But yeah, people are being lied to, and dispensationalism is essentially Zionism for Gentiles, and it is what exactly the Masons believe. So the fact that you are getting gung ho for like, oh, it's the Gulf of America now. What kind of, like, you say you're not imperialist, but that's like essentially, so think of it if you were China and you just suddenly say India is officially now part of China, or Taiwan, right? We have a thing against, oh, you can't say that, that's your island, China. That's what China does, but we're doing the same thing now with this or that, Greenland and fill in the blank, and you guys are okay with this?
Canada.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, it's everybody pointed this out, but it's worth talking about. Alex Jones, 20 years ago, was warning about the North American Union, and now it's called something else, and he's all on board with it.
Dude, that's just the thing. Is like they constantly do the bait and switch. You get so used to the person telling you what's real and what's not, you don't think for yourself. And then when it switches, it's like the classic. The liberals used to be anti-war, anti-this back in like the 1970s. Now they're over here like having them freaking sponsor pride flag parades. If I remember correctly, it was whatever the missile company was, one of the big armament things, and they had
Yeah,
them
I remember that.
I was going.
Well, I said a while ago that move made total sense because I always envisioned, like the swastika today. I think that's going to be the rainbow flag in 30, 40 years. That'll be what they post on the bombs and the symbol of unity of a certain country,
Wow.
probably ours.
That's dark, but yeah, and that actually would be biblical because because God said, "What I'm not gonna." Yeah, I
Yeah,
could see.
it's the ultimate inversion. Even though it already has been, that's just another way to do it.
Yeah, I could see that, dude. I could see that. Wow, wow. Anyways, with the chakras again, some people get freaked out. They're like, "Oh my gosh, he just did the 666." What I always say, okay, you saw it. Weigh it in the back of your mind. Start seeing who else they know. Also check for other symbols that they do. Do they cover their eye as well? Always put it in the back corner because sometimes somebody literally is just doing okay. But what it means when you're seeing all these symbols, attract, attain, release. It's part of the little chakra awakening things. It's symbols, right? And again, I have somebody that was part of this whole thing, and he says, yes, this does harness energy of some sort. Probably shouldn't be tapping into that if you're a Christian, because that's not what we dabble into. But Anton LaVey on the Joe Pine show is demonstrating the curse of Satan, which Taylor Swift tends to do a lot at her concerts, and people are experiencing amnesia shortly thereafter.
Well, she's identical to Xena LaVey.
Oh, yeah, dude. I was like, who are your parents again? And she's preaching this whole feminist thing, like a serial dater.
Oh yeah.
Go through as many men as possible, like toilet paper. I'm over here like, well, that's degrading. Why would I want to date a Taylor Swiftie? Like I don't know. That's your mindset. It kind of makes me wonder, am I going to be having to sign a little prenuptial thing? Because I don't want that in my near future. I like settling down for good.
Do you think Taylor's a dude?
That I don't know. Dude, I've seen so many people. You're a dude. You're there. We're over here like, if it ever comes to me, come in a room, I'll show you. like, it's not, let's just, dude, it's getting to the point where it's getting like, you know what? Y'all's need to calm down. Because half the stuff you really don't even understand. And I'm seeing people sharing all these reels, and I'm like, some of this, I could debunk half the stuff that he just said. literally just because I understand the symbolism world, and good intentioned, but when you're spreading things you don't really know, but you're kind of speculating, like you can't make an articulate argument because you really don't understand the mythos or the belief endgame system or origins. That's what I'm saying. Like you can look at something, sure, but if you don't understand how the game started and what their endgame intentions are, you're literally shooting from the hip, and that's very dangerous. But in Daniel chapter 2, it talks about the empire of iron and clay. Do you read the Bible at all, or have you ever? So I
I
want to make sure I don't over explain something.
No, I would say just assume that people listening need it
Okay.
because I have, it's been years, but
Okay. All right.
that I definitely don't know how. Yeah, your knowledge of the Bible, I'm like a drop in the bucket.
Okay. All right. Again, I'm making it simple for like Bible for dummies. I'm not, and again, I'm not saying that in a derogatory. I'm just saying because a lot of it is just like eye roll or they tampered with this. What I'm trying to do is, even if you suspected that, the point of the Bible is to live it, not necessarily, oh, they tainted this, they tainted that. It's like, can you live it? Most people can't even do that. And because you throw so much deflections upon it, no wonder you're going to be cynical and you're not going to have any peace in life. You're not. So, anyways, does the Bible talk about this age that we're going into? Yes. Daniel chapter 2, verses 31 and 35. A king, Nebuchadnezzar, has this vision. And in this vision, we have it being interpreted by Daniel. And Daniel tells him that the golden age of Babylon represents the gold head. The Medo Persian Empire was representing silver. The Greece Empire was going to represent bronze. The Roman Empire is supposed to represent, I think it's brass. I might get those two mixed up. And then we get to the Empire of Iron and Clay. Now, when they're looking on the Club of Rome, they have the final 10 nations, right? And in Revelation, it says there are 10 nations, states. We have 10 toes on this Empire of Iron and Clay, right? And something I found interesting is when you align this with their Hermetic Kabbalah tree of life, at the top, it's gold, Corona, the golden age of Babel, when we almost ascended to become our own God, but it failed because God goofed up the languages. So we're going to try that again. This was the golden era, so Corona. But what do they want? They want Malkuth, kingdom of earth. That's number 10, X, right? 10 toes, 10 on here. And what does Trump say? We're going to put our flag on Mars. And Werner von Braun had a thing about Elon being the first whatever ruler of an empire called Mars. Well,
So,
look at the
yeah,
chakra now.
it's a title given to the leader of the Mars Federation. And you know what's funny about that?
Mm,
When we did our Elon episode about 2.5 years ago now, uh, Jeremiah brought that up, and I had heard one other person mention it, but now it's being acknowledged by Elon himself. And Joe Rogan talked about it the other day with some guest. I think it was Gad Sad.
Mossad there.
Yeah. And now it's like they're putting this right in our face because that was like fringe conspiracy 2 years ago. You'd be
Right.
lucky if you heard about it. And Joe Rogan's like, why would Werner von Braun, a German dude helping design rockets, have time to write fiction? And it's like they all did.
Yes.
They all wrote it down. I mean, L. Ron Hubbard was a novelist.
Yes.
And I mean, we all know those circles. So yeah, I didn't know either that Werner von Braun was a novelist, or you know, you're saying it's not fiction. So yeah, it's
Well,
like the
this is what they
blueprint.
want to do.
It's the blueprint.
Yes. And ironically, it matches with what we have across the screen, that this empire gets crushed because it says he sees this, and then there's a rock that comes rolling down and crushes the whole empire of iron and clay. So they're wanting to ascend with this golden age, quote unquote, go back to where we were, and it fails. Now, I'm going to be showing another visual later, but Saturn also represents the little mouth. You notice the parallel here. But Saturn represents the all-seeing eye if you tipped the ring.
Okay.
Just something of note. And it says that the little horn, I'm going to be showing again how it points right to the White House where Trump was sworn in with the whole ceremony. I'm going to be showing, oh, it's important that it was done inside and that he was number 47. That's not a coincidence. So again, Satan's devices is that he always tries to use the three Ds, which is doubt. Hath God said you shall not eat of the tree of garden? Always second guess. Deny, you won't really die. You really believe him? And defy, that you shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. Now, what I've been telling folks, if you are you familiar with Mount Hermon?
Yeah.
Okay, wow. That's what I love about you, Colby. Every show I do, it's like you actually know about something I thought was out there, and you actually know.
Probably from listening to you.
Oh, all right. Well, thank you. I'm flattered. But again, coordinates is 33 for those who do not or first time hearing. And Hermon, hermaphrodite, I'm sure there's some kind of connotation here. What I suspect occurred is that Cain, after he slays his brother Abel, because God did not accept his sacrifice, and what I'm assuming is that because Cain brought harvest to God, God wanted blood sacrifice. It had to be from an animal. Why? Because it's supposed to represent my son at some point. The fact Cain brings a harvest is essentially saying, I'm here to bring the harvest. And God's like, no, my son is who starts and activates the harvest because it's going to be a harvest of souls. I'm trying to redeem their souls for all of eternity. So Cain gets upset, kills his brother, and he gets the mark of Cain. Now, what I alleged might be that mark is the mark that we see on Harry Potter's forehead, the Z. Why? Well, spelt out, it's Zayon, Zayin, Zion. Maybe there's a connotation there. Don't know. But he would have the incentive of being upset and saying, okay, I'm willing to go atop of Mount Hermon, and if there is any celestial beings that will come down here, I will offer you up my daughters and granddaughters if you will give me celestial intel about how to go to war against heaven. These angels come down. We get Genesis 6:4 and Enoch 6, the sons of God. Angels come down and had affairs with daughters of men, thus spiking Nephilim, aka giants in the Bible, which again, most Protestants are going to skip right over 6:4 and say, well, that's not really relevant because angels can't mate with all. Well, somehow they did. Giants did exist. And if you're going to tell me they don't, well, please talk to the Smithsonian and the Vatican for me, and maybe a few other institutions of why they are hiding this evidence, because we are, those of us in this conspiracy / cryptid world, we see things. We're not dummies. We know what we saw. We know that there's enough evidence here of things being hidden. So,
do you just a little side tangent here?
For sure.
Because when I started my podcast, it was 2021, and I was fresh off of like not believing in dinosaurs as an adult, and I always wondered if, because you go to it's not anthropology. What's
cryptology?
No, with like dinosaurs and shit. It's not archaeology, but those museums where they have the bones and all that. I mean, you'll even on the plaque, if you read the fine print, it'll be like, yeah, we found this toe bone and we compiled what the rest of the animal looked like. So I always wondered if the whole dinosaur myth was because we were going to be finding large bones the more advanced we got and the more digs we did. I always wondered if the dinosaur myth was just to cover up that we're going to be finding these big bones.
But actually, they fact checked me on the slide on Instagram when I did a post on that. The guy who gave us the word dinosaur in 1848, Sir Richard Owen, he was connections with the Royal Society. The Royal Society is a Masonic order. Nimrod is known as the Master Mason, and again, Tower of Babel, Masons building bricks. So yes, I highly suspect that is why they were creating such a quote-unquote mythos. There could have been some, like a monster here and there, but to the extent that we're saying we're mining oil from their bones,
right?
No, just no. And again, they did start mating, and again, that's where I personally think Bigfoot comes from.
Okay.
Crossing with a gorilla, and then you have other variations thereof. Because there's some stuff I listen to, and I'm over here like, God, I don't want to ever be outside and alone in those woods where these things show up because they sound creepy as all. Some of them have like this telekinesis gift, and this was the reason because everybody's like, well, it's a very violent book, the Bible. He's having everybody kill everybody in Canaan. Yeah. Because they're angelic offsprings, and they were known to mate with everything. That's why he also said to kill the animals. Because they were known to shapeshift. here's the thing. Where do you get these powers from? Well, your angelic parents, and again, what I suspect, Cain was like, okay, before you go and, come on, hurry up. What is it, man? What's the game plan? What's God's plan? He's going to send a savior figure. He's going to have him born of a virgin, something, something, and, rough blue plan here. So what does he do with this? Of course, he writes down probably what he gets, and he gives it over to, eventually, all the people doing the bad stuff, to Nimrod, right? And eventually Nimrod comes along and says, oh, so we just had to create a savior figure. I could do that with my own kid, and thus we can create a diversion that we don't really need God to send a savior because we already have one of our own that we created. And it's from the intel from the fallen angels. So this is where we get Sol Invictus. This is where we get the mythos of, oh, it sounds just like God. It sounds just like Christ coming down here. So what are you talking about? He's got to be fictional. Or is it just a counterfeit getting a head start because you made a deal with angels that didn't know the end game? They just saw some blueprints and stole it from heaven before they came down. Don't know, but something I found interesting, as God's locking these angels under the river Euphrates in the book of Enoch, which is the only book that explains when the angels are let out from the river Euphrates in Revelation, says, your children, Nephilim, will roam the earth for 70 generations until the time of the end. Now, when a giant was slain, they became known as a daemon, Daemon. Spirit being. It's not a fallen angel. It is a slain body of a giant. Root server for all computers is known as demon. Nimrod, if he's also Gilgamesh, he experiences the flood in the Epic of Gilgamesh. And in the Book of Giants, these two giants are having a talk. They know they're going to die in the flood. And they over here have this thing saying, in Gilgamesh, blank, blank, because the tablet's chipped, our hope. Hold up. So if Gilgamesh, aka Nimrod, is their hope for what? How to get bodies back? AI, X, Osiris Rising. If AI, we are summoning the demon, as Musk put it. He wants to have a robot army by 2027.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and 5G connecting with time travel. Did you know Back to the Future was based on Nimrod?
No.
My mom's
But
attracted to me. He did his own mother.
of course, yes, yes, yes. Yeah, I mean, and
Yeah,
that Robert Zemeckis and what he's brought since then, but they even have the Trump figure in
yes.
part two.
Biff Tannen is
Yeah,
based on Donald Trump.
yeah,
And again, Tannenbaum, that comes from Tannen tree, Christmas trees. The second movie, it's about the clock tower when he comes speeding down the street and he leaves the little fire marks. There's a 9 on the left of that, and then you'll notice the 2 ones and makes this. And what are they trying to save? The clock tower.
hmm
Horus, hour. Horus is another equivalent. Every hour upon the hour, bail, bell, ring a bell. Keeping spirits away when you ring the bell, according to their mythos. Again, where have you been, Marty? I've been in the future, Doc. And but Zernakis did a movie later on, The Wire, like 30-something years later, and he's wearing the same outfit as Marty McFly. So
yeah.
Twin Towers does connect. Don't tell me. Like, there's...
Well, also there's a scene where he's going back to the mall parking lot, and I think it was the Twin Pines,
Yes.
and
Yes.
then after the changes are made, it's one. I mean, all that stuff, like you could say predictive programming or whatever you want, but
Yeah.
that one, a lot of it can be chalked up to pure coincidence, I believe, if you want to take the skeptical side of it. But with the Back to the
Correct. Yeah.
Future one, there's just too much. I think there's a scene in the second one where the woman's hanging upside down.
Yes. And you see the towers falling.
Yeah, if you flip the screen, it looks
Yep.
like but you're supposed to be looking at it from the perspective of the person that's hanging upside down.
Yes. Yes. We're going to give you some homework, guys. It's really fun when you start understanding what they believe. But again, Satan said, I will ascend to be like the God Most High in Isaiah 14:14. So again, Cain gets this. Nimrod, his son, Trihermes. This is where we get Hermeticism, Kundalini, God consciousness movement, occult, witchcraft, atheism, Anunnaki, aliens, regeneration, reincarnation, God potential, leads you all to hell. All because you second guessed, you tried to follow the counterfeit. Oh, I tried to find it within. No, it's about submitting to him, not finding within. We see this constantly. So if you're, again, you'll find it when you seek it. And as you said before, Nikola Tesla with the light bulb and the Ankh of life, Illuminati, lights. Same thing with the goat head for Tesla. It also could represent the uteral canal. They're showing us. They're constantly showing us. We can skip some of that. A Mason is not necessarily a member of a lodge. In a broad sense, he isn't any person who daily tries to live the Masonic life. So you never have to be in a lodge and you can still be a Mason? Yes. And serve intelligently the needs of the great architect. Don't acknowledge God Creator, say a higher being, a sovereign power. Don't acknowledge God Creator. Yeah. So I literally was telling my buddy, I says, you do realize you're a Mason. He says, I've never been in a lodge in my life. I'm like, yes, you keep saying a higher being. Same premise. You just don't know it.
The lodge is where the heart is.
Yes. Quite literally. And again, I call it the Whore of Babylon because that's in Revelation, but dispensational evangelicals, that's just like the show The Boys. You go right to it. It's just like, again, baby Tammuz, aka Christ's doppelganger, Catholic Church, he always sucks at the teat of the Whore of Babylon. Why? Because the whore represents the ideologies. And what is a whore? It is a false love. It is a prostitute, right? It's fake. This is where everybody's going towards with Christ consciousness. Or Christ was not an ascended master, nor did he come to teach or teach us to reach a higher consciousness, which is where we get a lot of collective consciousness sort of deal. And the New Age movement is a false Christ. And ironically enough, the Bible does foretell this. He says, for many will come in my name saying, I am the Christ, and will mislead many. Matthew 24:5. People are very also lovers of themselves, I think it says in Timothy in the last days. Well, you're wrong. Got a source? What's your beef, bro? Why do I always have to be wrong if it doesn't match your perspective and view? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is what a lot of people do. And again, oh, we all just love each other. We just have a collective love. Really? The Genesis engine, Genesis, which could be genes of Isis, if were trying to, manipulate, also could mean the beginning. We now have the power to quickly and easily alter DNA. Splitting the atom, Adam and Eve. It could eliminate disease. It could also solve world hunger, quote unquote. It could provide unlimited clean energy. It could also, it could really get out of hand by Amy Maxman. And what are we getting kind of with this whole Stargate thing? We can cure cancer with literally a syringe. Really?
Yeah, it's crazy. Customizable vaccines based on the person. I mean, when I saw Trump standing next to Ellison just nodding as he's saying all that, I had to believe that at least a few of my friends who claim to be really huge into the conspiracy world and really anti-technocratic society, it doesn't matter as long as Daddy's sitting there nodding.
It's terrifying. It's like, okay, so if he says it's okay, but if Klaus Schwab says it, but then if he speaks at the World Economic Forum, it's like, well, he's playing their game. Or really?
Do you see a divergence happening probably within in the near future of RFK Jr. and Trump? You think he'll stick around for all of this?
I'm finding incredibly suspicious the whole thing with RFK, with releasing the JFK files. Some of us are over here in the conspiracy world like it's old news, bro.
Right.
It's such old news. We know Israel had a hand. That's probably going to be redacted. It's going to just say solely CIA. No. We know. But again, we're going to be called anti this and that because, like, well, that's not factual. It's not with him. So maybe using him just to get that out there. Who knows? Maybe I personally suspect they're literally using him because, oh yeah, now we're making foods healthy, and that's going to create the incentive of just trust the plan still while we're getting a shortage of food on the shelves. In the Bible, it also says the food prices go up through the roof. Yeah, you thought Biden was bad. It's going to get worse. Trump was saying, we're going to lower it. We're going to lower it the minute he gets in. You know how hard that would be? Dude, you just said you were going to fix it. No, I'm not going to fix it. I got other plans, man.
Yeah, I mean, near the end of his campaign, it was just talk of the border and health stuff.
Yep.
And I honestly thought at the beginning of RFK Jr. running that he would get in there somehow as president. And as it kind of got nearer and he shifted his role,
Yep.
I never really thought that he would team up with Trump, but that was even better than him being the actual president. And
Yeah.
I mean that guy's, say what you want. I've never liked him. I've always thought he was just fake as fuck. Like nobody's that nice.
Yes.
And I mean, if you look at his past, he's got the darkness of any Kennedy, and
He's
probably,
been to he's been on Epstein's plane too.
yeah. I mean,
He's friends
his,
with Rabbi Shmuley guy too.
yeah.
Have you seen that
One,
clip where the kid he was touching the kid's intimates upper part?
I don't know if I saw that.
Yeah, and dude, you know what was scary? People were still defending RFK, even though in those slides I had that clip there. And I said, well, he's changed. I said, he just did this thing with Shmuley, like literally 8 months ago, if that. I'm showing you he's still in the sphere of people that are to be. But that didn't. No, you didn't call that out, but you're defending your guy because Maha is part of MAGA and I have to support it. So you're
Ye-
still supporting what went down. Don't tell me you're anti Epstein's Island because you're defending it at the moment.
Yeah. Do you get into I think it's Roy Cohn at all in any of this? He
Oh yeah,
was
where's my Roy Cohn? I'm familiar with Roy Cohn. I could have thrown that slide in, but again, I didn't want to overbear the
No,
the
that's
precedent.
okay. It's just worth glossing over really if
Yeah,
people out there who support Trump don't know about uh Roy Cohn being his mentor and what went down with Roy Cohn. He was one of those, I'm going to go after gay people, get them out of their positions, and then of course all the ones who do that end up being gay, and he was even
he was
uh,
gay himself.
gay slash
Paz, did
pedophile.
you see the Vanity Fair cover with that?
Uh-uh.
Where's my Roy Cohn? He has Trump dressed up like a little Adonis figure. You can
Oh,
find it on
really?
Amazon for free. I think it's on Amazon for free, or maybe YouTube. You can find it. But Vanity Fair published it. Yeah, and Trump's got little makeup, little rouge around for his cheekbones and stuff like that. He had a room with a whole bunch of frog stuffy animals, and he had like a little photo of Trump in there. It was really like because like, I mean, Antichrist would have to. He has to be a lover of men too. Yeah, that checks out. And a good book for folks who kind of want to dig into it. One Nation Under Blackmail by Whitney Webb.
Oh
She goes
yeah.
into great depth with that. Again, I always love throwing out the resources because don't just put haha emoji. Go look it up.
And
Uh,
she's a great one, and when you read her books, half of it's citations because
she is meticulous, dude.
she doesn't leave anything hanging out there.
Yep, yep. And I love
And
how people say she's controlled
she's
too. I'm like,
being
no, it's just
attacked right
thorough.
now by the Trump people, which I mean, to me, she's never been one of those journalists that has a side. I mean,
Hmm.
she goes after everybody as hard as anybody else. And yeah, right now, all the people that loved her when Biden was in office, they're kind of turning on her.
Hmm. I love it, dude, because this is like, well, one minute you like me when I go after the guy that you don't like, but the next minute you love. And again, everybody's always like, "How I see you rarely do anything on." I'm like, Biden's distraction. I'm showing you what's in the shadows, even when he's not there. And now that he's in there, I'm like, he literally just said this yesterday. No, he didn't. Okay, you know what? And I don't care, dude. I love being militant, and I also kind of like it because I'm trying to get my checkbox up to 10,000 blocks before the end of this year. That's my goal. I'm at 8,000 now, so
Really?
dude,
Nice. Almost there.
I get so many cognitive dissonant comments. I'm just like, oh, don't even try with me. I can't answer back sometimes because it's too easy, and Instagram would kick me off for you're violating our community standards if I actually answered the way I want to at some people.
Maybe you'll get up to 10,000 by June 16th.
I don't know if it would be June 16th of this particular year. I would lean possibly of 26. because the years ahead, it had lockdown for this year, and Trump wants to create a disease to lock down the border. And yes, folks, there's like 10 to 12 sites left, right, you can find to have an excuse to lock down our border, which again, we just had the ICE guy get shot. I think that was a false flag, just to create the incentive for, arming our border. And then, where was I going with that?
You're saying this year's
Oh,
going
yeah,
to be a
years ahead. 2026 was the World Cup. In contrast, so if you're looking at communion, right, with Christ, that was accepting to be part of a ceremony in Hebrew culture. The dad would vet another man to make sure he was fit to carry on the preservation of his daughter's well-being. He'd make sure he had good reputation. He was not, so he would vet this. He poured the young man a glass of wine, saying, "Do you accept the term of responsibility?" Yes. And then they'd hand over the other half of the glass, and they'd hand it over to her. And it wasn't patriarchy. She had the choice to say, not too keen on the option. Can we go back to the drawing board and find another suitor? That would be fine. But if she chose to drink of that cup, she was accepting of the father's son's selection for her. Just like with Christianity, this is my body, this is my bread, right? This is my body, my body, my blood. This is what that was representing. And then the young man would leave to add on to his father's house so he can induct in the new bride. What did Christ say? "I go to prepare a place for you up in my father's house. If it were not true, blah, 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 there are many mansions." So he comes to return to pick up his bridemaid. That's where you get the parable of sleeping bridesmaids. Right now, we got a lot of sleeping bridesmaids that have a Bible, the lamp, but they have no oil, which is Holy Spirit discernment to understand what it means. The whole book Revelation means apocalypse. Apocalypse means lifting of the veil. Most people have no idea what the lifting of the veil is. Even Manly P. Hall said, when society learns to read the language of symbolism, a great veil will fall from the eyes and on hearts of men. So that's an occult versus Revelation. Revelation was not written for people that don't read their Bible and have no desire to learn it. So the years ahead, anyway, that was 2026. So World Cup. Are you going to accept the world solution, which is monetary? Perhaps. I don't know. Just pitching it because that was the only highlight of the whole year. 2027 was Armageddon. That is the year of the goat. Remember Elon's little champion outfit with the goat on there, the devil's champion? He wants those robots up by 2027. They also want online censorship by 2027. So basically, your social security is how you log in to get online access. That's for 2027. The years ahead said Armageddon. And a rabbi, after Trump's ear getting shot, he said on October 2nd of 2027 that there's going to be an announcement involving Trump. What that entailed, he was very cryptic. But I know they're looking for him for a Davidic bloodline.
Do you know this guy's name? I was just looking at some of his stuff. If it's the same one you're
The
talking
rabbi?
about. Yeah.
No, but I could find the clip and it pops up on the bottom of the screen.
Yeah, that's all right. I was just curious because
Yeah.
I don't remember if he was a rabbi or not. He was some religious
Pretty
figure.
sure. It was
Yeah.
it was compiled of several rabbis and a couple of people in the news, the whole thing saying like, yeah, Trump's definitely the Messiah figure. For sure.
Okay.
2028 they had Satan and Jesus arm wrestling over the world. And then 2029, alien invasion. So something I found interesting with that, you ever hear of the Apophis prophecy?
I don't doesn't ring a bell off the top of my head.
So Apophis is supposed to be an equivalent of one of those Egyptian lore things. It was a great meteorite or whatever. Go into all that. But NASA has named a meteorite that's supposed to strike Earth on Friday the 13th, in April of 2029.
Did you say did you say April 19th?
Friday the 13th of
Friday the
2029.
13th. Okay.
And they have alien invasion. Now, here's the thing. In the Bible, it talks about wormwood, which is a great rock that will fall from heaven, and it will literally, blow off half of the face of the earth by kicking off tsunamis, hurricanes, and all this stuff. Now, a gentleman by the name of Thomas Horn, who I'll be showing later on, he was saying that he had a vision and that this rock, this meteorite, struck the west coast of America and or southern Mexico. Now, given all the movies they give us, I'm leaning on City of Angels, Los Angeles. And if that did happen, that would fulfill how Babylon falls in an hour. Now, everybody's saying that has to be the Catholic Church. not necessarily. America was founded by Catholics, and you can buy the book Rulers of Evil by Tupper Saucy. Maryland was consecrated for the Virgin Mary. The White House was named after a Jesuit priest, Andrew White. So yes, Helios, East meets West. We're definitely trying to convert us to go back to the Catholic way of thinking because we strayed too far from the church. They want to bring us back to the fold, Helios, East to West. So if that happens with America, because again, John, I believe it's in Revelation 17, verse 5, he says, upon their head was written the name Mystery Babylon the Great. Make America great again. Don't know, but people are loving a nation a lot more than the kingdom of heaven, and I would kind of laugh at the irony of that. All you people who thought you were voting for a Christian guy, you get sucked for not listening to the word and wanting more of this world. You know what I'm saying? And this occurs because they end up killing the saints. Now, what do you asked earlier with Trump not putting his hand on the Bible? That would be acknowledging that Christ fulfilled the New Testament if he did that. He can't do that if he's going to be operating under Noahide laws, which when you buy his Bible, the Constitution is missing, I think, Amendments 13 onward.
Really?
Which is missing all the ones about civil rights and whatnot. So you could easily just say we're going to Noahide law that. And according to Israeli National News of 2020, he is the champion of Noahide laws. Now, Noahide law is basically if you're a Gentile and you violate any of these, which means like acknowledge who Christ is, you get the guillotine. Which matches in Revelation 20, verse 4, that I saw the heads of those who were beheaded for the witness of Christ. Or arguing with the Antichrist system, right? So, whether or not that's true, something else I found interesting. If you're going by October, which I'm leaning on the 13th, because that is what? Columbus Day? In America?
Is it?
I believe so.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know the date of Columbus. I'm going to take your word for it.
I think it's the 12th or the 13th. Either way,
Okay.
not too big of a significance. But it's also the Hebrew feast day of Sukkot. What does that have to do with anything? Okay. So we had the Tower of Babel, right? And everybody's languages get confused. All the nations separate. We have Christ. After he ascends, he gives the gift of the Holy Spirit upon the disciples, and they're all able to speak the gospel, and everybody that hears the message is hearing it in their own native tongues. So Day of Pentecost, it just boomeranged what happened back then. Now, Pentecost occurred about 6 weeks after Easter, which was the spring harvest. October is the fall harvest. It is the gratitude of being led out of the wilderness with Moses when they wandered for 40 years. Now, it says in Revelation that the two witnesses will show up, and for 3.5 years they will go to war against the Antichrist. It also says the Antichrist makes war against the saints. I lean that maybe it won't be two individuals, but perhaps saints who are advocating Scripture might be gifted the gift of the two witnesses in Revelation, which breathes fire down from heaven. They are wearing sackcloth and ashes, but they're also able to cause plagues, heal people, basically crazy amount of stuff. They have the Elijah spear anointed upon them. Between October 13th to, well, roughly, because it says that Antichrist will seek to change the times and the laws, which the Catholic Church already did. But Trump's also pitching now changing what the spring forward, fall backward?
Oh, it's daylight savings time.
Daylight savings. So again, there's dual prophecy. I'm just saying, I'm throwing that out there. And we were supposed to go off the 13-month calendar, which is 28 days per year. We go off the 365. So the Bible gives us 1,260 days these two people will be prophesying, right? Two people, maybe Christians, who knows? Real Christians. I'm not saying all Christians will be granted this, saying there's a small portion that might. So if that ends up being true, you add it by days, I did the math, and that roughly gets us to March 26. It says that then the saints will be killed, their bodies will be left in the street for 3.5 days. So that would be roughly on March 26 of 2029, be a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then you have Friday, because 2.5 days, right? So that would roughly be on Sabbath of Friday. mirroring similar to Christ. You know, they had to put him to death before the Sabbath,
Mhm.
right? For a certain time. So which they did, but he would be coming back this time because there's nothing after that, right? Because we were persecuted prior to this. So then he would come and collect his bride and take us up. Because it wasn't what we have with Ishtar, Easter, that's not biblical. It should be on a Saturday when his resurrection was. So Friday, Saturday, that would, I'm like, okay. Because Easter Sunday of that year is on April Fool's Day. And then exactly 14 days after that, Apophis. And that is saying, again, in the Bible, it says, because you didn't listen to my witnesses, you did not listen to the saints, I am now sending the meteorite to punish you. Wormwood. I'm like, because then how would you explain this? Oh, we almost had a second Big Bang, and we figured it out with the dome that Trump built with the Iron Dome. It wasn't able to stop all of it, but half of humanity was at least saved. What about all the people that disappeared? Let's not talk about. Oh, look, Project Poopy. And you would immediately fulfill what everybody's over here going, yeah, well, what, before everything gets really bad, and then what does this happen? People thinking that it's, aliens coming down, angels, whatever, however they try to spin it. That's the answer that they'll accept as opposed to, you're hitting Revelation right now, and that alien invasion that you're believing, it's actually the fallen angels under the river Euphrates coming out to say hello to you. Because here's the thing. To tie back what I was saying before with X, Osiris Rising, what if the Fallen Watchers want to give the Nephilim demons some bodies back, and by accepting the mark of the beast, you become an international demonic possession grid for the Nephilim? Because
Yeah.
inter means place for two more corpse, net to hold or restrain something, and internet was given to us by CERN. Don't know. I could skip ahead to that. I think we're following along.
Yeah.
But also something else I found. The etheric lifestyle, they have 144,000 connected with the pentagram. Pentagram's on Baphomet's head, equivalent of Hermes. Speed of light and gene expressions in our 12-strand DNA activated through the love God, Edomite, and Ether module is 144,000. In the Bible, it says 144,000 in context of the last days in Revelation 7, verse 4, which states, and I heard the number of those who were sealed, 144,000 from the tribes of Israel, children of Israel. The interpretation, many scholars seem to refer to this group as protected by God during the Great Tribulation in the end times. And symbolic meaning is some interpretations suggest that the number 144,000 is symbolic, representing a complete and chosen group of people. Now, our DNA is naturally spelt out in Hebrew with a 10, 5, 6, 5, or it spells Yahweh. Allegedly, when Adam first was breathed into it by God, the first thing he said was, what? Every time you take a breath, you are saying your creator's name. In, out. So, if that's true, what the special elixir juice from 2020 did,
Mm-hmm.
it doubled that number. It added an extra strand. So you're no longer set apart with the natural gene. You now have a special elixir giving you potential be activated by their 5G plan. Which, again, if true, here's all the citations. You don't have to take my word for it. Lenovo.com, whatis.com, techtarget.com, Daemon, root server for all of your computers. Whether or not true, but so astral projection. You ever hear about that?
Yeah.
Star worship, and there's Ashtaroth in the Bible, red star. Pentagrams are usually red, usually. She was known as the Queen of the Heavens, just like the Virgin Mary. Counterfeit Christianity, not true. But people who are doing it, does this look familiar? The Masonic checkerboard down here?
Yeah.
You're astral projecting to become like the stars on the Planet Trump World Economic, the Economist magazine. where stars is the final play. The star. Angels were known as star walkers. You put a star or an angel atop of your yew tree. I find it interesting, but astral projection becoming like if, again, look at this, the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Yeah.
They're all pentagrams. Why? Well, they were druids. They believe in druidism with Hollywood, right? So what does that mean? We can ascend to become like angels, aka sons of God. We can become our own gods without submitting to the creator. We found the secrets. So when people are telling me this star worship or, I'm a star seed, God conscious, this is what they're talking sound like. This is what Masons believe, hence the checkered floor. And apparently Trump's connected with this because the tower being struck, is supposed to represent the Tower of Babel. But if you look a little closer, Trump is sitting over the magician, MAGA. And the magician is printing out 3D houses with a blind, or the metaverse thing. Meta means death in Hebrew, by the way. So, don't know. Here, we can skip some of this. Like I said, I curtail it per host. So, something else that I found interesting when you were saying the pride flag, you notice anything
Yes.
similar here?
Yeah, because this is the newer one, right? The one
Uh-huh.
you got vertical here. Yeah,
Yes.
I've never seen it next to that. That's interesting.
Just something interesting, because I'll read this little part because what in the Bible traditions, right? We're Christians should not be affiliated with these kind of symbols. But the initials form the symbolic monogram for Christ, aka IHS, which is false. The monogram compromises of iota, eta, sigma, which are the first three letters of the name of Jesus in the Greek, Iosis. The letters also stand for the Latin phrase Iosis hominum salvator, meaning Jesus, the Savior of man. Later, the symbol became a sign of peace. The IHS symbol is generally embossed with the communion wafer, and initials surrounded it by the rays of the sun. Sun god worship, son of God worship, Sol Invictus, not Christ. It's counterfeit. But the interesting thing that I found, so when Nimrod, I'm just going to condense what the other two slides were saying. When Nimrod was doing the Tower of Babel stuff, eventually, allegedly, according to lore, Noah's son Shem got really upset, so he decided to go find Nimrod and tear him to bits, literally cutting him up into 14 pieces. Now, his wife, upset, according to the mythos, she's went and procured all of his scattered bones all over the empire, and some of it she had to get some beeswax to put together because she couldn't find certain things. And then his phallus, she could not find. It was tossed into the Nile, and it was eaten by a fish. Interesting, because the phallus, the Washington Monument, right, that we have in Washington. Maybe there's something there, but also it's covering, what's this covering? The Masonic apron area with the phallus. Again, connecting with Osiris, equivalent of Nimrod, god of the underworld. Same with Cernunnos, god of the underworld, where we get CERN from. See, we found two bodies when we went over there. After 9/11, we found this guy and this guy. Perfectly preserved, almost 5,000, 4,000-year-old corpses. And why did we extract them? First things we hit were mausoleums and museums in Iraq.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that kind of odd? Unless we're trying to resurrect Nimrod. X, Osiris, Elon Musk, AI will bring universal income for all. So in essence, accepting the solution, what are you doing? Digital communism, yeah. Coming from the conservative right.
Yeah.
Online censorship, yeah. As long as it censors the speech that goes against my America vision. Oh, okay. So, again, birth of the web. So the Vatican portals
Yeah.
are called symbolism, called the seal of Satan. You might notice this as your play symbol for Google Play if you tip it on its side. Same thing. Occult institutions depicting the cause of the solar eclipse. Now, we had that last year, did we not?
Yeah, there's been more eclipses in the last 4 years than in the rest of my life.
And that's biblical. It says there's going to be 3 solar eclipses prior to the Antichrist showing, and we just had the 3. April 8th of this other one finished an A over America, is what it came over. Yeah, found that interesting. But also, it was on April 8th when Aleister Crowley was producing the book for the novel Moonchild for how to produce an Antichrist figure. Oh. And when the Vatican opened up its portals, it was in the pattern of the sigil of Lucifer. Did you just let somebody out in the year of the dragon around Christmas? When all the planets aligned, allegedly, when this happened, when their Antichrist figure was born? Because that's what happened during Trump's inauguration, is all the planets aligned, to the exception of Mercury, which will be joining us in March, when they really have the inauguration behind closed doors.
Okay.
Aha. And who was born in the month of March?
Oh, Baron.
Little Baron Trump. And he has a political aspirations for the future. Now, do you notice how tall he is?
Yeah, and it's funny too because he was just a little kid the first time around, and then I remember seeing him again, and it's like when you go. I have a nephew who lives several hundred miles away. I didn't even recognize him, and it's like with Barron, he kind of grew up since Trump's first go around.
And was he injected with some Nephilim blood? Because he's freaking 6'9", dude.
Is he 69?
Yeah. Which 6'9" is, interestingly enough, in Butler, Pennsylvania, Trump's ear shooting was reported exactly at 6'11", an inverted 9'11". 69, you say? When they filmed the Apollo moon landing, Apollo 11, A equals 1, 11, AAA. Notice the AAA has a Saturn logo, just like with most things, AT&T, you take your pick. But 69 is between the two arches, Twin Towers. And what year did we just approach? Uranus and Gemini, Twin Towers. Trump is born in the month of June with the Twin Towers. I think he's the 14th. Is his birthday. So very close to the 16th, as you implied, but then it gets 69. Something else I just found interesting, because, the two fish of Pisces, 6'9", and maybe there's something there. But then the last president, he looks very strikingly similar for a prophecy that happened almost 100-something years ago. Right?
Yeah.
Now with the
shut up.
Now with the Herodome.
So what happens? Shut up. Tom Horn breaks down what was going on ceremonially wise. Again, he passed away about 4 or 5 years ago, maybe somewhere in that span of time. But he used to break this all down. And he's giving the explanation of what goes on every year during an inauguration. The fact that this happened now inside gives a little bit of, maybe he's not so stupid, And the phrase that is said, Novus Ordo Seclorum, I'm showing it on the screen, and that Elon posted this after Trump's win. When Trump won, I think it was 66.9%. Elon posted, the prophecy has been fulfilled, invert the 9, you get 666. Whether or not something's there, he also posted, can't remember. Here, I'll let him speak.
They claim that they continue to have this important language, the spells, the incantation for the raising of Osiris. Well, they would conduct that ceremony while the Pharaoh is standing there. The seed of Osiris would be drawn up from out of the underworld through the testes of the obelisk. It would magically emit into the ever-pregnant belly of Isis. And Pharaoh would become transmogrified. He entered into the building a man. He comes out of the building. He is a god. And all of Egypt celebrates because now they have divine representation. Now, fast forward to this present day. The Freemasons openly admit that the obelisk, the dome, well, again, it's on the Library of Congress website. These are structures designed and dedicated to all of the ancient pagan gods. But how many Americans know that at the inauguration of every American president, while he is standing over here in the dome, the pregnant belly of Isis, looking out across the mall at the obelisk over here in the distance, that across town at the Herodome, the headquarters of the Scottish Rite Freemasonry 33rd degree, they are conducting the raising of Osiris ceremony in anticipation of the day that literally the spirit of Osiris, or who the Greeks would call Apollo, is going to rise up out of the underworld to become incarnate in a future American president who will take his rightful place according to the prophecy on the Great Seal of the United States, which both Franklin Delano Roosevelt, his vice president Henry Wallace wrote about. Wallace wrote about it in his biography, that he convinced Roosevelt, I think he was trying to take credit, but that he convinced Roosevelt that the prophecy on the Great Seal of the United States, the Novus Ordo Seclorum, was a Masonic prophecy pointing to a day in the future when the United States would rise up to take its rightful place as the capital of the New World Order, the fulfillment of the Sibylline prophecy that says, what? That Apollo is going to rise up from out of the underworld, take his place in a man, and give birth to a new golden pagan age. Literally, the generator to make that happen is what we are standing in the middle of today. And if you go inside the Capitol Dome and look up into the underside of the pregnant belly of Isis, what do you see? The apotheosis of George Washington. Literally, apotheosis means to become a god. And what god is George Washington becoming? Walt Whitman, the famous American poet that is so connected to American history, said he's becoming the Osiris.
So, 365 days out of the year, 3 plus 6, 9. And then we have what? 6 plus 5, 11. 9/11. Trump happens to have 9 stars over one eye on his profile picture and 2 stripes. 9/11. He was president 45. 9. Now he's president 47. 9/11. I'm thinking, with all of this symbolism, and now not putting your hand on the Bible, he might be fitting this Novus Ordo Seclorum, because when he did his Republican convention, he took out the all-seeing eye, and every speaker that spoke there was the all-seeing eye. Kind of weird. And the fact that Elon posted that the other day, or I mean, when after the election win, again, November 5th, remember the 5th of November, does her hat not kind of look similar to that guy?
Yeah, I've heard people say that. I was thinking she looked like Carmen Sandiego.
Thank you. I did the same, dude. I did a meme and I put the picture
Really?
of her. Yes, you can check. It was like, where and where? I'm glad. See, we think alike. I love it. But what he was implying, again, the phallus, the missing phallus of Osiris, it's a gift, right? And your seed will speak. And again, the little horn, Trump, when you go to the family name Drumpf, it roughly comes to mean horn player or trumpet player. The trump shall sound. Again, I'm laughing because I know the Bible maybe not have said his name, but I'm just kind of chuckling because the trumpets are going to sound at the return of Christ and when all the stuff starts going down. And I was chuckling because the pastor at my church, he's substituting, but he was saying, I'm really hating in this country how they're all going after our great founding fathers and whatnot. And Columbus, hey, was such a great guy. I'm like, yeah, no, he's connected with the occult and this, blah, blah, blah. Okay, and then Washington, one of the greatest Christian men of our country. And I'm leaning next to the guy next to me showing him this photo of Baphomet, Washington. This is an actual statue made by the Masons, doing the same pose of as above, so below, with a sword towards his chest, which is the Masonic initiation. Like, so many Christians, they don't talk about the occult, but they still are expecting to get pulled out. So if you're not in spiritual warfare, I kind of question, do you even know what's going on in the world? It's literally on your money, and you can't even see it. Because you can't read. It's symbolism. But because you can't read, how are you supposed to know? They're showing us. So Trump, again, I took from Fox, I took from Bloomberg, it's all over. Golden Age, right?
Yeah.
The second inauguration was on January 20th. Just so happens that is the age of Aquarius, when all the planets were aligned, a period of harmony, understanding, and enlightenment, Illuminati, that some believe is the dawning. Now, if you take the letters from Red MAGA, Red Dawn, and Armageddon, you get the same letters in that little anagram.
Yeah.
Just something of note. Something of note. And this lady, Alice Bailey, who was part of the occult in the Lucius Trust, which used to be known as the Lucifer Trust, but they changed it because people weren't buying stuff and people might suspect what was actually going on. She said that in the year 2025, the golden age will happen, or the Antichrist figure will be here. And what do we get with Trump? Again, from his own social media, compares himself with Christ while on trial. You have people depicting him on artwork with Pelosi stabbing him in the side with American tunic and Melania washing his feet. The only planet that's not aligned at this time, not until like the end of February, I think it's the 28th, if I ever seen it correctly, which is interesting because, again, leap year 28, every day was supposed to be 28 days. Maybe there's a little connection with that too. But Mercury is going to be aligning up eventually. Saturn is associated with the color black. Notice all the judges, everybody in the family was wearing black. And is sometimes depicted in black and yellow. The color black can represent stability, discipline, and responsibility. Saturn is said to represent time and matter, a boundary between above and below. Same pose. He's doing as above, so below. Hermes is the equivalent of Baphomet. Can you see it?
Did you make that? Yeah, that's you.
Yes.
You made this. That's a cool slide.
This one somebody else did. I just added a little bit additional context of, and this means him, this means him. And I'm going to show you the etymology of Trump's name connecting with Hermes. That is Baphomet. It's the same freaking guy. But yeah, as you can see here, prayer and be ready, MAGA in Latin, magic, magical, witch, Italian, sorceress, witch. Again, white tunic, red sash, their Messiah figure, who they wanted, who signed Operation War Seed, drop the P's. Adonis Triumph. Again, like I said, on the Economics magazine, they had the magician right under Trump. They show us. Again, when they were doing the news coverage, they called it the second coming.
Shit.
So I'm chuckling because, like, why does Christ get all the hate if he's a fictional character? In the Talmud, they have him boiling in excrement in hell. His mother was a whore that mated with donkeys. I'm trying to figure this out. If he's such a bad guy, why is this guy mimicking him with a substitute, which is what Antichrist means, right? Is substituting yourself. Is it possible that Trump was indeed the moon child? The Babylon Working was a series of magic ceremonies and rituals performed from January to March in 1946. Again, 1 plus 9, X, 10, 4 plus 6, X, 10, double 10. By author and pioneer rocket fuel scientist and cultist Jack Parsons and Scientology founder L. Ron Hubbard. The ritual was essentially designed to manifest an individual incarnation of the archetypical divine feminine called Babylon. The project was based on the ideas of Aleister Crowley and his description of a similar project of his 1917 novel, Moonchild. Trump's parents were Frederick Grice and Mary Ann. His aunt's name was Martha. Mary and Martha. Mary being his mom, Martha being his aunt. Christ and his dad's name. Like, okay.
I didn't know that about his dad's name.
Yeah. So, and again, the name Dawn comes from Dan, the tribe of Dan. I'm going to be explaining that in the next slide. L. Ron Hubbard was involved in ritual magic with Aleister Crowley, who founded the Abbey of Thelema on the island of Cefalù. Hubbard joined the Rosicrucian Christian Master Mason after the ancient and mystical order of Rosé. Crucis in 1940, completing the first two neophyte degrees. While some critics argue that Crowley's magic lies at the heart of Scientology, most scholars have dismissed any connection between the church and occultism. Hubbard became Parsons' great ally in the scientists' quest to incarnate the goddess Babylon on Earth, who would eventually give birth to the Antichrist.
Do you think that Hubbard had Parsons killed or did it himself?
That one I'm still looking into. I would lean that he had him killed, just the way from what I've heard, it's like that sounds like a setup.
Yeah.
In your garage, I'm sorry, it sounds way too, yeah,
Sounds like he's a fucking meth head in a trailer park the way that went
yeah,
down.
and like a scientist didn't know about, no. Yeah, I'm not buying it. Oh, it's blocking out one of the slides that I really needed to show, and now it's not showing up. All right, whatever. Anyways, DNA, Dan, tribe. What I was going to show is that on here, I could still show it. I'll just go over a couple slides back. So when you were seeing Trump, all right, I had it zoomed up closer, but Trump is sitting on what? The world, planet Trump. He's sitting over all of North America, no lines, no borders. He's sitting all of North America, Canada to Panama. You could just Google World Economics 2017 Planet Trump, and you'll find the same thing. But he's sitting, and it says judgment underneath him. That's what I wanted to bring up.
Okay.
I was hoping the slide would pop up, but it did not. So just explaining what was there. Because the tribe of Tevet, the tribe associated with Tevet, is Dan. Dan means to rule, to judge, and to execute judgment. Dan also has the symbol of a serpent. The association with Dan in this month indicates one will be required to discern between two opposing issues. The battle is an inward one, enlightenment, and find the inner God within yourself, quote unquote. Are we following our good inclination, God's spirit, or the evil inclination, the beast, the serpent? The tribe of Dan is also mentioned in the Aholiab, who is skilled with the work in gold and silver, stone, wood, purple, and blue, and to make engravings in the tabernacle, Exodus 31, 1 through 6. Now, interestingly enough, you see this pose that Trump always does?
Yeah, and I noticed Eric was doing it at the inauguration, and his wife was telling him to cut it out.
Yeah, it was just like, honey, not now. Now's not the time. But it's like, oh, can I do it now? Can I do it now? No, shut up. No. And whether they're doing it even to taunt us, because, I mean, when he posts that tweet, you can tell they are itching at the bits to unleash their tyranny. But they need to do it at the right time, because otherwise, yeah, enough of us would be smart to like, but no, they need to groom it so gradual, because you don't want to even know that it's happening. But according to the greater ritual of the pentagram, you have them doing the poses again. This one is like, find the inner God. So you have the little pose: fire, water, earth. Again, you're doing the elements: air, fire, water, earth. I was chuckling because I was like, YMCA much?
Right.
But he's doing the pose of water, which again, they're Messiah figures known as Leviathan, Malkuth. He rises from the abyss, right? And right next to him, this is the bottom part of that 10, the Malkuth on the Hermetic Kabbalah Tree of Life that I showed earlier. This is X, and the kingdom of Malkuth represents Adonai, Lord of the earth, souls of fire, and X. Next to it is the Last Judgment. I was like, wow, that's very interesting. And again, moon, universal, cathode, cathedral. When you're looking with the Muslims, they have a little crescent moon above their little mosques, right? And it was founded by a Jesuit. They sent a nun to marry Muhammad, and he orchestrated all of this. I have a whole other episode, can't talk about that all right now. But yes, it was forged directly for this reason. You look at the Virgin Mary; she sits between above a crescent moon. So Trump doing this hand pose, he's giving you a little bit of a nod. I'm always at the spear tip. It is me. And I have other stuff where when he went to the military academy, he was standing at the very tip of all the guys standing in uniform. They're showing us constantly. So again, this is alleged, but there is more than a few reports about Barron and a couple nannies coming forward or people with child care services. And they're saying Barron was caught killing animals. Barron tossed a desk. He spat on people, hit people repeatedly. He attacked someone with a knife multiple times. He was even accused of sexually touching someone at a sleepover that resulted in an investigation. This is by Mr. Weeks, who runs a program that apparently Barron was a part of. So, apparently he also slapped the F out of one of his nannies in Central Park after school. Now, I'm building up to something because an individual had a vision, and I hate to say it, I think he has a little bit of credence with this dream that he had. Sounded very similar to Ezekiel in the Bible. He has a vision of them doing a sun god worship ceremony to Tammuz, and they're thinking, God doesn't see us doing it because it's after hours. You idiots, I see everything. But similarly, I was just chuckling because I'm going to explain that Ouroboros now. When you look at the world ahead of 2025, at the very top you see Saturn, right? Saturn is the god of time. What do we have around that time? TikTok? Are they letting us know that time is up? TikTok? TikTok? Yeah, But she's wearing a black Saturn hat, mostly covering her eyeballs, but the little white ring of Saturn, right? When I was messaging you, I said I wouldn't be surprised if there's something that happens with Trump's right eye. Or left eye, sorry, left eye. Again, not exactly aligned with 12, but Trump is, regardless. But it is a little bit further on, so maybe March, April something could still potentially happen? I don't know, but they're showing us time as well. Start of something. I don't know. But when you look at Semiramis, again, she's affiliated as the Queen of the Heavens, so Crescent Moon, and then Nimrod. And they're standing over the world, and this is their little golden child Tammuz, carrying the Caduceus staff, Hermes, both. He's standing in the middle. Kind of looks a little like Cupid, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Same guy. So, what they're trying to do, you have Melania representing Semiramis, Trump representing Tammuz, and Barron representing Nimrod. Because in order to complete the Ouroboros over the magician's head, they had Nimrod born, and now he was reborn, reincarnated, into his son Tammuz, according to their lore. For in order for this infinity, the snake, to complete eating its tail, the infinity loop to complete, they need a Tammuz, Trump has name etymology too, to go back into Nimrod. Again, they're thinking, what we did after 9/11, what did we go and extract? Some DNA. Allegedly, there are some emails about Hillary Clinton inquiring about this DNA extraction. Whether or not true, that's for somebody else to bring up, but that's just something I've heard. I'm just saying allegedly. When you look at Trump's temple coin, when he did the Abrahamic Accords, this was it. On the back, you have the Saturn all-seeing eye, again, at 12, top of the coin, which represent the all-seeing eye. And then you have all this other stuff, the symbol of peace, the dove. You have a terrestrial technology, the satellites and all this. EMF control, microwaves. Biometric control. We need to have a biometric exit entry visa exam. Yeah, for the immigrants or for us? Because you think the cartel's going to accept that? No. Okay, fine. We'll do it for our own citizens, and therefore no one will come. If Trump says it, yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
And we'll connect it to your Social Security and all this stuff. Oh, cool. Do I get bonuses every month if I comply? Yes. And a free donut. Okay. You did it for 2020. Why would you not do it for this? Again, surveillance control. It's showing on the coin. Health control. Again, with the syringes. And then the Quran, the holy book of Islam, which they're giving Trump reverence that he's the guy fulfilling a prophecy for them as well. Again, Saturn, affiliated with the occult, Satan, Lucifer. The Tree of Life, a new beginning, is on here, which is the age of Aquarius. Symbol of the nanotechnology, over here. the symbol of a computer chip right here, and the Arabian scimitar sword, a sword that was used to behead Christians. Now, I'm not sure if you saw that clip when he was at Turning Point USA during the Olympics in Florida. He says, Christians, you need to get out and vote just
Yeah.
this one time. I
I
love
promise
Christians.
you'll never need to vote again.
Yes. It was like, well, he didn't say he was Christian. It's like, regardless, the dress was blue, the dress was golden. What did he say at the end of that? You'll never have to vote again. What the hell are you talking about, man? If you're a true Republican or whatever patriot, wouldn't you be kind of like, hold up, bro? What do you mean never vote again? You're taking away what? We're going to have a dynasty? I thought that's what we left, right? That's what we got our independence for. It was because we were tired of the dynasty. So now you're telling us we're going to be set for life if we just vote for you in one more time. And then we have Mr. Hoo-Ha doing a... Really? Okay. Again, his name is on this, Donald J. Trump, a symbol affiliated with beheading Christians. So, did you notice that Baron looks just like all the paintings of Lucifer?
I haven't looked. I've heard people a long time ago, but I see it.
And it made me scratch my head because, again, they say Donald Trump wins, but it's not a surprise because Baron Trump is supposed to be the last president. And this is in the Library of Congress. Baron Trump's Marvelous Underground Journey and Baron Trump, the Last President, both 1890-something books. 1900 for the last president. And the other one, 1893? I don't know. Somewhere around that time. So they found it worthwhile. I mean, they predicted the Titanic with the Titan, the ship that was sunk that was not supposed to be sinkable, like almost 15 years before it happened or whatever it was. I was like, well, they are... Oh, first it was novels, like what, Aldous Huxley? Everybody's like, oh yeah, I just quoted Aldous Huxley, Brave New World. Brave New World, like Captain America, New World Order, Brave New World. Did you know that he does that little pose? And that his brother is the father of... transhumanism.
Julian?
Yeah, Julian. Dude, I love it. You always know those trivia facts.
Well, and they're both heavily Fabian Society as well.
Yes.
Oh,
And
yeah,
most people have no idea. It's like, well, they're not idiots. They have the know. But again, another book more recent by Ivries Gilbert. They have a crown, Corona at the top, and a symbol of breaching the dome, which again, you look at Baphomet, he sits on the dome. So whether you want to believe in biblical cosmology or not, all I'm saying is these guys believe in a dome. And when you get looking at the, Disney thing, when you wish upon a star, it's always a dome going right back down. And wish upon a star, angels were known as Starwalker. Are you wishing upon a fallen angel? Don't know. So, shut up. So this gentleman, and again, I apologize.
this is who you're talking about. Okay, I'm
seen
anxious.
this?
No, when you said it a few minutes ago, I was really curious about this dream you were mentioning.
So this was a couple days ago, if that. I apologize for folks who are going to get cranky. I was banned off of TikTok for trolling Trump supporters in a Gollum voice, so I apologize. No F-bombs, no curse words, no threats, no whatsoever. They just kicked me off because we don't want this video. So I would have retrieved the original video, but unfortunately my phone was saying you already have something affiliated with this account, so I cannot get on TikTok to get the original. I apologize. That being said, for the first 2 minutes, he was talking. It's going to glitch up and freeze, but he's going to continue to talk. So if you're listening to audio, just continue as you were. For Colby and myself, we're just going to listen the whole way through. It's about 7 minutes. But as I said, it really makes me scratch my head because it sounds like I could see this. It doesn't sound like it's just a dream. It sounds like, is this what's really going on behind the scenes inside the White House?
So I had this really weird, like just a weird dream. I'll share it with you guys. It's kind of like a really messed up dream, and it felt real. And I was wondering what I was getting shown, and I heard all these people laughing. There's all these people laughing. And I went walking, And it was really weird because I ended up at that White House. The president, where the president is, Donald Trump. I came there and they were sitting at this table. They're sitting at this table area. And they're all around, they're all laughing. They're all laughing amongst each other and saying this is what they were going to do. And they started making all these different plans. And I'm standing there watching them talk about all these different things. Like how they were going to hurt people. And there's just so much that they were talking about. They started talking about war and all this other stuff. And that person, I seen Elon Musk's talking to Donald Trump. And he was laughing with him and he goes, it's almost time.
Huh?
You know that TikTok family?
Hold on.
He goes, it's almost time.
Oh, is it glitching up on us? Oh my god, dude. It doesn't want to play it. Wow. Okay. Anyways, he goes on to keep on talking. Wow, they don't want this getting out. This was happening on Facebook too. I was trying my best. Anyways, he goes on talking and saying that everybody was going over and bowing to Barron. And he was taunting his mom and dad. Like, you guys raised me for this, and now it's my time. You take my orders. And then there was a moment where Trump was looking terrified. Melania started laughing. Almost demonically. And in essence, he was going over to Trump, and Trump was looking very scared. And he says, you're supposed to bow to me too. And Trump didn't want to do it. He said, but he gave him a look and something like some kind of like telekinesis like thing. Trump eventually bowed before his son. So in essence, for me, I was just going, okay. Because where do you always see Barron? He's now like 21 years old. How come he's always walking behind mommy and daddy? Why aren't you leave the nest like everybody else? You're rich enough. You don't need to be around. But why? Why are you shadowing mommy and daddy? Why are you always present? What did you say to Biden?
I was just going to ask you that.
Yeah. Yeah. So for me, when you're reading the verse in Revelation 13, verses 3 and 4, which ironically enough, when was Trump shot? On the 13th of July, 3 plus 4 equals 7, 13. Maybe there's a little bit of a, nod towards prophecy. It says that the Antichrist suffers what seemed to be a mortal head wound. Again. And then everybody started to worship the image of the beast because the dragon gave his authority to him. We had the Sigil of Lucifer ceremony over in Italy. And then we have this thing going on with the inauguration shortly thereafter. And we're now in the year of the snake. Trump's favorite poem is The Snake. You knew who I was when you took me in, O tender woman. So now is there a little bit of a connotation that we're now going to the year of the snake and we're only a year away, maybe a year, 11 months away, we're going into the year of the goat. I don't know, but I would not be surprised if he looks like Lucifer. They foretold him as being, quote-unquote, the last president. Now, the empire of iron and clay is cut short. And Christ says that no human flesh on the earth would survive if the end was not cut short. The thing is, tribulation happens for 7 years. The thing I just showed you from 25 to 2032 with the two pillars, the Uranus with Gemini.
Uh-huh.
So 25 to 32, when you're watching Demolition Man with Sylvester Stallone.
Great movie.
Yeah. When you watch
2032.
When you watch Terminator 2, the after credit scene, the year was 2029. Same year as Apophis prophecy. Are they giving us a little bit of a nod of what the future's supposed to be?
I mean, and if you want to get Terminator in this bitch, fucking Skynet is Palantir. Elon's got the army of robots coming. Did you say 2027?
2027, he wants to have up a couple million sold. Yeah.
Damn.
And again, like I said, whether it's half human, because they want to use humans for human antennas by 2030. Scientists. You can look that up, several scientific, big websites, all this stuff, they'll tell you that. Elon is having it prepped with some guy that was working over there. He did a little TikTok video saying, like, I don't know, but I'm working 13 hours a day. They're paying him good money for overtime. He wants us up by like 2028. Why does he want it? So what's the rush? I don't know. But he's paying a lot of good money to get us to get done with this stuff. And again, with a little bit of a Bible twist, but it just makes me scratch my head going, is there a little something more that we should be a little aware of? Because for the first 3.5 years, it looks okay. And then all hell will break loose for the last 3.5. So what they mean by that is after you kill the witnesses, the saints that were giving you the one last warning call, after you kill them, you're then going to get the empire of iron and clay, which is told in Daniel, where man starts mixing with machines. Cell phone, SIM card. We are already trained how to play with our SIM characters, with fake digital money in their accounts. We fake digitalize, dress them up. We fake digitalize, take them out. Follow what I'm saying? Internet,
Yeah.
place for Timber Corpse, Meta, Deathverse. So, are you telling us something? Yeah, you're being told it's the golden age, and you ended up becoming literally a host for demons. And Christ, in contrast, was casting demons out of people. So again, golden age, a period of peace, prosperity, and happiness. It was in this age that the Olympian gods created humans who lived long, peaceful lives unaware of death. Huh. Saturn was the Roman version of the Greek figure Kronos. Now, if you've ever watched that or see that little KFC commercial with Kronos eating his son, and it had a depiction of him doing it as a replica with the chicken bucket of chicken.
Really? I did not see
Yeah.
that.
And again, we hear all this stuff with Adroni and other stuff. I think you can fill in the blank with that one. But yeah, just makes you scratch your head going, are you telling us something? So, does the Bible talk about all this pharmacy crap? Yes. Revelation on pharmacy. And they did not repent of their murders or of their sorceries. Revelation 9:21. And then, the phrase right before this, the voice of the groom, aka the Bible, the Word, and the bridesmaids, aka real Christians calling out all this stuff, was heard no longer in thee. Continue. For your merchants were the great men of the earth, and by their sorcery, Greek pharmakia, all the nations were deceived. Revelation 18:23. But their sorcerers shall have their part in the lake that burns with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. Revelation 28. And blessed are those who do his commandments, for that they may enter through the gate into the city, but outside are sorcerers. Revelation 22:14 through 15. Now, sorceries in Greek, like I said, pharmakia, a drug or a poison, the origin of the English word for pharmacy, big pharma. Sorcerers, again, pharmakos, druggist, or a poisoner. The original English word is pharmacist. So it's like, okay, iron and clay, yep. Pharmakia, yep. And people are buying this golden age crap? And I think the problem, why you're not seeing most Christians, because they're all defending him, is yeah, the elect will be deceived if possible. If you're in the Word, you have Holy Spirit discernment, because why? A real Christian makes the Word applicational. This is why I get hate for my Christmas tree stance. This is why I get hate for my anti-political stance, anti-patriotism stance, anti-voting stance. Why? Because as a Christian, we're set apart, and my citizenship is reserved in heaven. In contrast, you love things of this world. You're worried about your 401k retirement. You're worried about your health. You're worried about the next election cycle. You follow? Then again, going back to the beginning, Kabbalah is merge the two. We can have both. Christ and country, thumbs up. Word in the world, thumbs up. To be set apart, which is the root word for saint, yeah. A lot of people they don't know how to do that. So,
the police will be on their best behavior because we're constantly recording, watching and recording everything that's going on. Citizens will be on their best behavior because we're constantly recording and reporting everything that's going on. And it's unimpeachable. The cars have cameras on them. I think we have a squad car here someplace. But those kind of applications using AI, if we can use AI, and we're using AI to monitor the video. So if that altercation that occurred in Memphis, the chief of police would be immediately notified. It's not people that are looking at those cameras. It's AI that's looking at the camera. No.
So again, AI, that would be demons looking at the camera. Demons are literally controlling the whole freaking thing, and then they're sending out robots to go to war with all this stuff. This, for folks who did not know, is Larry Ellison, the guy who's creating the Stargate project with Trump. Now, here's a fun fact. Did you know what the word Babel means?
Babel? Oh, I did at one point.
The ancient Sumerian text translation, to be more precise. Assyrian, Sumerian. Portal of the gods, or gateway of the angels. Stargate, angels were known as Starwalkers. Could be wrong, but he's in charge of Oracle, which is something I found interesting, because as I said, with Osiris rising, I have already pointed out, since he was Osiris's replacement, Serapis will also possess the traits of a deity of the underworld. This linked mediated him through the connection established between him and the divinized bull of Apis, the Apis bull, which is what the children of Israel built when Moses went atop of Mount Sinai. They built the golden calf, which was representative of the Apis bull. A reigning monarch is what it symbolized, strength, vitality. This is what they build with the golden calf, as you said, with Trump, which are embodiment of the dead Osiris at Memphis.
Oh, and he mentioned Memphis in that.
All this is clearly due to the inspiration of the Egyptian priest Manetho. The god thus united the two cultures in himself, East meets West, Western culture coming back to the Catholic Church. He was the god of the underworld, but also, in no lesser degree, a god of the oracular healing. Oh! So again, could be crazy, but the healing thing, the rising of Osiris thing, oracular oracle. There's definitely a connotation here, and as you just stated, Memphis? Because Elon Musk mentioned Memphis, saying that their new god is going to come from there when he was interviewing with Jordan Peterson, and Jordan Peterson's like, okay, so you're going to like have our own new god and stuff like that? And he's over here like, yeah. And Jordan's like, okay, that's not really funny. Yeah. And then Jordan's just looking at him like, bro, relax. I felt so bad for the guy. I was like,
the police.
He might be controlled up now, but at the time, he was not aware of what was going on. Shut up.
This is so this Jordan Peterson conversation was a while ago.
I think actually just last year, August, September-ish, maybe early October, I believe, is when this went down.
Okay.
Again, just look up Jordan Peterson, Elon Musk chat, and it should pop up. But somebody was doing a breakdown, and he was literally looking at him like, "Are you okay? Like that's a little." And again, oh sorry, you just couldn't stop, dude. It was the awkward laugh that you said. Is like, and somebody, I think in the video that I saw, he put the thing from what's the freaking guy that does the parody on James Bond?
Austin Powers.
Yeah, he did the Austin Powers thing of the villain laughing, and he put it back to back. I was like, that's exactly what it looks like right now.
I mean, that's funny too, because the first time I ever saw Elon Musk, it was probably about 2011, somewhere in there, and it was Jon Stewart interviewing him, and he said, "You own your own island, you shoot rockets from it, you've got all these things going on, you might as well just be petting a cat in your lap right now." You know, he made a Dr. Evil reference to him.
Wow. No, or was it? Throwing a little something our way? But did you know that Bitcoin was founded by the cabal, George Soros, fill in the blank, all the baddies, and the number 33 is on there, aka 1, 2, 33 with the B. And then we have Bitcoin has 666 on the bottom right-hand corner. This is not doctored. This is not something you did an AI thing. You can Google a Bitcoin right now, zoom in on the image, and you will find 666 on the bottom right-hand corner. So, with Trump's AI thing, and again, 666, what is that? 6 neutrons, 6 electrons, 6 protons. break down the atom of man and create God in your own image. We can become like gods, immortal on our own without the need of him, because we have the technology to do so, the alchemy to do so. This is what Freemasons believe. This is what New Ageism is gravitating you towards. Christ consciousness, yeah, same thing. So a lot of people who are buying this little season, like, oh, we already had, Christ came down, now we're in the little season, and it's like, so you're looking to Trump to be the new God in this new world, in essence, if that's true? Again, I'm seeing a lot of Christians, and they're all pointing towards Trump. He's going to find all that ancient technology and help us do all this stuff. Just saying. And the two guys who promoted that originally have since denounced it and disappeared. Convenient. So here's a 3-4 minute clip of Trump, and again, talking about his future plans with his administration of what he would like to do with Bitcoin. It's not me. It's not Obama. It's not Prince Charles. This is Trump saying it. Stop it.
Hello, Bitcoiners. On day one, I will fire Gary Gensler. I will appoint a new SEC chairman who believes America should build the future, not block the future. Upon taking office, I will immediately appoint a Bitcoin and crypto presidential advisory council. Their task will be to design transparent regulatory guidance for the benefit of the entire industry, and they will get it done in 100 days. As part of our effort to provide regulatory clarity, we will create a framework to enable the safe, responsible expansion of stable coins. I will ensure that the future of crypto and the future of Bitcoin will be made in the USA, not driven overseas. I will support the right to self-custody. I will keep Elizabeth Warren and her goons away from your Bitcoin. It will be the policy of my administration. 15 years, Bitcoin has gone from merely an idea posted anonymously on an internet message board to being the 9th most valuable asset anywhere in the world. Can you believe that? Is that right? That's a big deal. Think of that. It's already bigger than ExxonMobil. Soon it will be surpassing the entire market cap of silver. It's not bad. How about gold? Let's go gold. And one day it probably will overtake gold, but based on the way it's going now, it could very well be a possibility. There's never been anything like it, and I don't think you've ever seen anything like it. And most people have no idea what the hell it is. You know that, right? So what happens when they figure it out? That's going to really be something. Who knows, maybe we'll pay off our $35 trillion, hand him a little crypto check, right? We'll hand him a little Bitcoin and wipe out our $35 trillion.
But how do you want it to be more prominent in America? How will that work?
Oh, it's going to work easily. It's already prominent. It's moving along. It's very loosely regulated. That's one of the reasons it's moving along. But it is a different form of a currency, and it's going to end up benefiting the country. But if we shut it down, like, Biden's trying to shut it down, Biden doesn't have the intellect to shut it down. Can you imagine this guy's telling you to shut something down like that? He has no idea what the hell it is. But if we don't embrace it, it's going to be embraced by other people. It's a massive thing already. Did you read where it's bigger than any company in the world already? I mean, if you look at the market, it's bigger than many countries. It's a very big thing. If we're not going to be the leader, we have the people that are the leaders. I know some of them. They're very smart. And if we don't embrace it, other countries are going to embrace it. Other countries will.
So something else that I just noticed, actually, as we were watching this, Crypt Osiris, Crypt for Osiris. Internet, we had the technology on the coin. Granted, is it evil at the moment? No, but when that's your only option and they're telling you now you have to put something in you to adapt to this, yeah, you're choosing the love of this earth over things of God, materialism, which is as above so below. We can have both. I don't know. Anyways, I had that same photo, so it doesn't matter too much. But Trump's name, world ruler, where he was born, United Nations territory. He's technically not eligible to be our president.
Really?
He's technically a United Nations citizen. So there's that. Trump to deceive or one-up or outdo somebody else. Donald stems from Adonis. Adonis's equivalent is Dumazid. Dumazid was a Sumerian goat shepherd god. In the Bible, it says Christ is going to separate the sheep from the goats. You look up Donald Trump Jr. You can look that up right now if you want to on Instagram, if you have it. If not, maybe you can find it on X, because I think that's where he got the photo originally from. He has Trump staring at himself in the mirror with a goat staring back at him. Not me. That was them. So, a Dumazid, shepherd god. Donald Trump Jr. You can find it, I think, on X. At least that's what the screenshot was showing on his thing.
Okay.
And yes, I screenshotted it for myself because I know some people go, your photos. No, that's him. They're showing us. So a Sumerian goat shepherd god, Dumazid's equivalent is Tammuz. Tammuz in the Greek was known as Hermes. Hermes in Rome was known as Mercury, and Mercury, the element, traces directly back to Marduk and Baal. Dawn means Lord, especially like in Spanish. Baal means Lord. Tammuz, again, was Christ's pagan doppelganger, the occult messiah figure, Nimrod's son, and his symbols are the all-seeing eye, the caduceus staff, the infinity logo, and the cross, the symbol that Christ died upon. Yep.
So, does Barron have to fuck Melania?
Way to put it in such crude terms. I do have listeners that are still homeschooling, and so I should have mentioned that in the beginning. I do apologize.
I'm sorry.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that would have to be conceived. Maybe his dad has to die before that happens, because allegedly Nimrod died, and then she made out with her grandson. So they were technically half brothers. This is how Apollo and Dionysus are half brothers. Apollo, Dionysus being the masked god of theater. We wore masks on 2020. When they had October 7th, that was a feast day to Dionysus, their 9/11, quote unquote. I'm just finding that all very interesting, because who came to settle the peace? Mr. Trump, again. Lastly, well, we only got 2 slides left and we're done. So the Hermetic alchemical traditions, red and black, are often used to represent the principles of soul and terra, fire and earth, respectively. Red symbolizes the fiery solar and masculine principles, while black represents the dark, terrestrial, and feminine principles. The combination is seen as a necessary balance of spiritual growth and transformation. That is as above, so below, when you combine all those together. Baphomet. So Antichrist, maybe Satan, aka Baron, is his, speaking through him puppet. And then you have Elon being the false prophet mentioned in Revelation with the technology. And then this is we can end with this one. The official seal of the Grand Lodge of Israel includes the Star of David, a Christian cross, a Muslim crescent, and the superimposed over Masonic square and compass, and encircled around the chain of union. The Grand Lodge was established in 1953. The significance: the goal of the New World Order is a one world leader, Revelation 13:7. Again, Donald, world ruler. One world government. We're getting there with cutting it up into 10 nations of the Club of Rome, which, if you've seen that map before, and that's spoken of in Revelation 13 and Daniel chapter 7. And the one world religion, which again is New Ageism, God consciousness, fill in the blank. You can become your own God, a sovereign being. You basically determine what God is. So right now, status quo, we're okay. People calling it out biblically, no. One world currency, Revelation 13:16-8. Now 18. So one world currency. Let's say this happens. We just solved the national debt with Bitcoin. Yay! And we got BRICS Alliance really mad at us, but guess what? We're tariffing them into the ground. They won't be able to compete. They can't compete. China can't solve that problem that we just, we freaking figured it out. So what does this do? This programs the populace into accepting, oh wow, if Bitcoin can cure the national debt, which means all of us were like $100,000 something in debt and that we'll never be able to pay back, or was it like, I don't know. So now this programs the populace into, what is Bitcoin? Okay, I got to get this. And the next thing you know, take away cash currency, and that's the standard. Oh. And then everybody else, because it just crushed BRICS alliance, what's that going to do? I guess we'll capitulate and accept your currency idea. Awesome! Sign right here. Follow where I'm going?
Oh, yeah.
So, anyways, the Bible says, "Come out of her, my people." A lot of people are defending their adjectives and their dominations and all this stupid stuff. And in contrast, an individual, a Christian, is supposed to be set apart from ideologies such as a superstition, morals, ethics, politics, propaganda, philosophy, pseudosciences, and religions, which can be a government. Govern means to control, meant from the mind, where we get the root word for mental, mind control, literally government. Colleges, universities, news platform, political pundit, institutions. You're defending these two things, and as a Christian, you're supposed to be set apart. Come out of her, my people, saint. So that's all I got. Maybe that gave you a couple of insights. I'm not sure if it helped, but as I said, I'm seeing some stuff. I haven't shown the those phallic symbolism connecting with Memphis and whatnot to anybody else just yet. But I was going, the minute he said that, I was like, dude, I want to be wrong, but then they keep saying something because I know the lore. I'm seeing the handwriting on the wall.
Yeah, and out of all the places he could have mentioned.
Yeah, yeah, like Memphis, not New York City, not Chicago. Why Memphis specifically?
And I just want to throw in and just how intriguing it all is. And even if you're looking at this stuff from a non-Christian perspective,
Mm-hmm.
whether the Bible backs this up or not, you can't not tie certain things together just on your own. But I think with biblical references and stuff, there's a lot of people out there who are going to eat that up. And then at the end of the day, you just can't take a guy like Donald Trump and think that he really is a Christian,
Right.
or Elon Musk is a good person. I mean, I'm just seeing a lot of worship at this point, and I've said on my other show and this show ad nauseum that if you are a conspiracy theorist, if you were a historical researcher, and you are idolizing a politician, you might need to be looking somewhere else.
Well said. Well said.
The way that I don't know, just you watch these people's lives, you see the things. Elon Musk is another great example. I mean, the guy's whole life is a lie.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been documented on what he is, what he comes from. And I mean, we didn't talk a lot about him. He came up a lot, but he comes straight from technocratic roots. His grandfather was one of the godfathers of that movement.
Mm-hmm.
May Musk, she's another interesting one to look into if you want to see all the symbology.
I've covered her in a few other things, yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I apologize to the homeschoolers out there. And
It's all good.
I won't plug my other show, but you can find me at Conspiracy Playtime anywhere. And Brandon, you want to plug yourself for my audience?
Yeah, Mana Daily Podcast, Spotify, Rumble, YouTube, and Patreon. If you can support and not just follow, I'd appreciate it. Getting a few of those, because you do help me find the research of the things that I do. And then Krollology, like my name on the screen, Kroll, Kroll, ology, _101 for Instagram. Truly, I think I'm probably gonna get taken off soon. I'm getting shadow banned bad these days, dude. It's getting bad.
And you don't do X, right? You're strictly on Instagram.
I was about to, and then I was like, you know what? I don't have the time, money, or resources, or the stress that would come with that. I just call out people. That's what I said. I said I would probably troll Charlie Kirk and Ben Shapiro and a few others, just to like, okay, so what's your thoughts on this?
Well, and that's what X is for.
Yeah,
I think it's the easiest platform to like just shit post. Where on Instagram you get your slides and stuff in there.
yeah.
All right. Well, you got anything else to say to wrap up?
No, but thanks for having me on. Dude, I always love talking with an intelligent host. Though I know the real again. Sometimes I throw the slides in there to fill in, and you actually are filling in stuff. I was like, oh, if you already know that, then we can just skip on ahead. So thanks for being up to speed.
Yeah, it's been great. I usually take notes, but I'm gonna go back on this one and take some notes and look into some other things. But Yeah, I posted 2 episodes with you breaking down the Democratic Party and the Republican Party that you did for the Occult Rejects. And so people who have been on the show for a while or been listening to it, you'll remember Brandon from that. And he does do extensive research and make some pretty impressive presentations. So it's always good talking to you too, man.
Yeah. Maybe next time we just spitball and talk cross-reference, because as you said, Technocracy, I was like, yeah, Jeff Bezos was behind him, Google guy was behind him. I was like, yeah, they hate him. They totally hate him.
Yeah, I mean, I call this he is bringing in like a technocratic Trojan horse. I've heard other people say similar things. That Monica Perez, I don't know if you're familiar with her. She used to be on the propaganda report. Now she kind of just does her own thing, but she always talks about the things it would take. Like, it will take a Republican to instate gun control. And it seems to be it's going to take Republicans to bring in this cybersecurity state. Also, people listening or watching, and if Larry Ellison hasn't come up in your sphere, really look into him. Brandon had a clip of him talking, and I'll probably insert some others in here. But yeah, I think it's a longer episode, but I didn't want to cut anything out because this isn't something that should be really condensed at this point.
I'll just add on, when I do short videos, because when I first started out, they're saying you have to do 15, 20-minute things because of people's attention span. Now I post 15, 20-minute things. Those are the lowest views on my algorithm. The 3-4 hour ones, those are the highest ones. So I'm over here going, people will put in the effort, I assure you. If there's a good conversation, they'll listen.
Yep. I agree. I kind of think the long form, it's sticking around still. I think as long as people are watching it, we should, not just dumb shit down. TikTok is kind of it's the platform where you want to make like a 3-hour presentation 30 seconds long. People are good at it, but yeah, it's not my style either.
Same, dude. I was over here like, if I knew how to do that, I would be schooling so many people right now. But yeah, well, thanks for having me on. It was very enjoyable.
Yeah, I'm going to end this recording, and then I was going to ask you about something. So,
for sure.
Everybody out there, be wary, keep your head on a swivel, and do not interact with the robots in 2027. They are not your friends. Oops.